from the legends of memory and storage. Crucial brings you the ultimate performance in gaming. Legendary products. Precision engineered. For speed and stability. Crucial ballistics.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to LG Ultragear presents the Esports Tec Gauntlet Season 4, powered by Crucial, and apparel partner is going to be 656. Of course, I'm not wearing the jersey. Crips is wearing one and looking fire. But Crips, how are you doing, first of all?
I'm feeling a bit cold. Honestly, I didn't expect the
It
morning
is
to be
cold.
this cold. I've never even gotten up this early. I'm gonna be damn honest. But when it comes to Valorant, I am all for it. No matter what time of the day, what time of the week, I'm gonna be available and let's get some action going, bro.
Exactly. We have some amazing set of matches today. First up is going to be a really big game. Like, probably one of the biggest games that I could wait for right at the start of the season. We've got Orgless 5 versus God Particles. Now, we discussed about Orgless 5 and the transfers that they had. Literally, a team that has been kind of mashed up together. They found players, they scrapped out for players from here and there. They have sort of like four professional players with one manager sort of lineup. I'm not really sure how that's going to function, but against God Particles, a lineup that has stuck together for like a season and a half so far. They've played games together and they are still the same even after like a plethora of transfers that we had mid-season. So it is going to be a really nice storyline, racked up lineup versus a sort of a lineup that has stayed on for almost a very long time. Next up is going to be another sort of underdog affair that is going to be against Salt Esports versus Flame On. Two completely different games. One, the first match, of course, having so many experienced players, and the next one, sort of an underdog affair. I'm really excited, Crips. But which game, or which team rather, in the first game do you think is going to take the edge or have the edge?
Ooh, I mean, when it comes to speaking objectively, God Particles obviously has the edge. They are the team that has stuck together for a longer time. They have a lot of experienced players. Team, I'm used to calling them EXO, I'm gonna be honest, but Orgless 5 over here have gone through the roster changes where Excali is no longer in the team. They have to play with a person called Hacker, who used to be their manager before. He wasn't their player. So I don't know how much time they've had to adjust to this roster with Hacker. And of course, adjustments are not always easy. You need to make sure that everyone's on the same page, and it's a very difficult thing to achieve in just a couple of weeks. I'm not sure if Octus 5 even had enough time to prepare for this incoming roster change. So things obviously are not looking so good in their camp. But They are still four very experienced players, and I'm sure that they could guide their fifth to everything that they have learned so far. Let's see if they're actually able to achieve it or not. And speaking of these guys, let's see whether these guys are in danger or whether they have already seen some action. Let's take a look at the group standings and see where they stand.
Exactly. Now, the group standings, of course, there aren't a lot of games played. God Particles, of course, they started their series or started their group stage with a victory, so they are at the top. Exili Esports did start with a win as well, and as you can see, Salt Esports and Flame On, they've lost a game respectively, which basically means that the next game that we have, the evening match, the 8 p.m. game between Salt and Flame On, will get a first victor between them. But speaking of competition right now, yeah, like God Particles versus Orgless 5. For Orgless 5, this is going to be an opportunity for them to sort of start their journey with a win. They of course would want it, but just like you mentioned, with so many roster changes going on, it's not just the fact that they miss Excali, they also miss Ghost. Like both these
Hmm.
two players, they were the primary duelist in the lineup, and without their primary duelist, that is going to be a problem. God Vexy coming in also didn't have a lot of time sort of getting used to this lineup. So now you have like Sai, you have Blackhawk, you have Wimp, and God Vexy, none of whom actually play typical duelists, none of whom actually carry the role which Excalia Ghost did. And now with Hacker coming into the lineup, I'm not really sure which agents they're gonna play, but I have a gut feeling that Sai is gonna take the role of a primary duelist and lead the rest of the team from the front. But then also it kind of comes out to the storyline whether or not Orgless 5 play a 5, whether or not they play a two-man duelist lineup or a single duelist lineup. What do you think, Crips?
I think this is most likely going to be a lineup which has a double initiator. See, Sai is confident with the duelists, of course, but lately he had been playing a lot of roles. He's been wearing a lot of hats, sometimes picking up the Sova and sometimes even picking up a Sentinel agent. So he's familiar with the Killjoy as well. He can pick up any agent if required. So Sai can fill. Although I must say that yeah, the lack of a primary duelist might affect him, but God Vexy can be a damn good Sova player as well. So maybe Sai has the bandwidth to pick up the duelist. I'm still wondering what the new player Hacker will pick up. I mean, if you want to hand him a role which doesn't require too much responsibility, of course, you can always let them be the duelists. And it's not like the initiators and controllers and sentinels cannot frag. The duelists, they get set up and then they just have to click if the team works that way well enough. But we don't know for sure, and I guess that's exactly why we are here to find out, right? Speaking of these
Exactly.
guys, let's take a look at the lineup of these teams.
Yep. First up, it's probably going to be Orgless 5. Yeah, it is. God Vexy, number one hacker. This is the first time I'm seeing him. Sai, right in center. Of course, leading the team from the front will be his primary job right now. Blackhawk and Wimp, we're accustomed of these players playing with Sai. Two new players on whom the question mark is obviously going to be God Vexy and Hacker. We're going to find out what roles, what agents they're going to play. But of course, as soon as the game progresses, we can also understand how this team has actually practiced together and how well prepared they are for Gauntlet Season 4. Now, we are always speculating about the agents that they're going to play, and I completely agree with you the fact that since Hacker is sort of like an untested agent or an untested player in this gauntlet, I feel like it is easier for him to actually pick up a duelist, pick up something like a Jet or maybe a Reyna and just go all in, just do his own flashes, get his own kills, heal up, dismiss, and then probably do something else. But then again, it also kind of comes down to what sort of lineup or what sort of agent pool this team wants to play, what sort of approach do they have. Like in Team EXO, they were always very aggressive. Now, aggression came naturally to Excali, aggression came naturally to Ghost and Sai, and then there were Wimp and Blackhawk would always support the team. But with Godvexy coming in, who is sort of like a clutch minister of a player, I'm not really sure what role Wimp is going to play, because Wimp was sort of like shuttling between the KJ and the initiator. Blackhawk always was playing the controller, so I think that Blackhawk will retain his responsibilities. But then, yeah, Hacker and Godvexy and all these players, there is going to be a lot of question marks on them too.
So there is a lot of uncertainty in the air. Uncertainty also about how my camera is frozen. But
Yeah,
uh,
mine
this
too.
team has a lot of new variables that one needs to consider. Let's move on to the other team over here, and that's gonna be God Particles, Shivi, Logista, Scar God, Ember, and Knight Rider. Now, these guys we can speak a lot more about because these guys have stuck together. They've been proven. They know what their strengths are. They know what their weaknesses are, and they're most likely gonna play to it. The only thing that I want to see is what God particles have changed from the last season to this one. Of course, it's been a long time, right? During the winter break, it's been a few weeks. You must have had some free time. They must have practiced together or something or the other. If not, well, then I hope that their previous skills are enough to sustain them in the competition. And if they have improved, I want to see what new tricks do they bring to the table. Of course, when we see God particles evolved, uh, we won't be seeing too much improvement in the individual skills. That doesn't happen over the course of a couple of weeks, but the coordination between the team members can improve significantly even in a couple of weeks. So if that's a factor that you consider, God particles, they had their weaknesses and strengths sorted out. One of the weaknesses of God particles used to be that once they lose control of mid, or like once they lose control of the mid game of the round, then they start to struggle to put together and execute. In the dying embers of the round, in the last few seconds, when important decisions need to be made, w- the lack of a clear leader at the top gives them a little bit of uncertainty and also a little
Yeah.
bit of anxiety to me when I see them play. Although I must say that that only happens in the mid game, and that's if their plans in the early game phase go wrong. Otherwise, this team seems to be in control. The only thing that can probably throw a spanner in their works is the disruptive playstyle of XXO, or in this
Yeah.
case, August 5. And because August 5 have a lot more new variables this time around, this could be even worse, because they don't know what Oculus 5 is going to do. At least back when they were EXO, they could somewhat predict them because they're a structured team.
Exactly.
Now, with no structure on their opponents, any random play which they don't expect can throw God particles off guard.
Exactly. Now, we'll actually move on to the map V2 and look at the battlegrounds on which these teams are going to play. You mentioned it very correctly. I feel like there is going to be a different approach. Now, this is interesting. This is very, very interesting. I kind of expected this. Orgless 5, they've actually picked up Ascent, which is sort of a neutral venue, and explain why I sort of
Hmm.
expected this. God Particles, instead, they've actually gone for Split, which was sort of the home ground for Team X, EXO, just like you put it there. And the decider is going to be Haven. I feel like a really nice ending to this trinity of maps. But then coming back to Ascent, I feel like Crips, it's very similar to when what happens when a team loses their coach or a team loses their very important player. They get back to the basics. They try and do what the basics is. They don't really try to experiment too much, especially in the early phases. It happens a lot in football. It happens a lot when a team loses their manager. They try and do what is basic and they try and do something which everybody knows. So Ascent is sort of like a starting ground for Orgless 5. I feel like this should be a good map on which they could express themselves, where a hacker actually can feel comfortable, like not knowing into the setups or not knowing how the team functions, the intricacies of it, and the communications as well. I feel like Ascent is a place where he can get used to the team and the communications and actually build synergy with his teammates. Split, I'm not really sure. God Particles, now the fact that they've picked up Split kind of raises questions because Team EXO used to be really, really good. But then since there has been recent changes, since there's no Excali and Ghost in the lineup, we might actually not see a Sage Wall coming in on the defensive phases. We also might not see Excali going absolute ballsy in the attacking rounds with his rays or anything that he loves to play on the map of Split. So with those two factors considered, I feel like God Particles can excel on the map of Split. Also, when they were X-Force 1, they loved the map of Split as well. So yeah, those two things tie up perfectly. And moving on the map of Haven, I feel like that is a coin toss for both these two teams. Nobody knows which team is going to win that, if of course Haven is to be played.
So I love the fact that you pointed out that back when God particles were called F and Lex Stump, these guys were amazing on Split. And their Split is synonymous with their slow burn playstyle where they try to take control of multiple areas of the map at the same time. And then they kind of just bait the other team into making mistakes. Because they have so much map presence on Split, I can see why they have picked this map up. Back when EXO still existed, Sai used to be familiar with the KO on Split. I'm not
Yeah.
sure if he's still going to be playing those agents or some things will change. But I'm assuming that Haven is most likely going to be leaning a bit towards God Particles, considering it's a tougher map tactically, and it does require a lot more coordination than Ascent or Split does. So, with that being said, I think Orgless 5 have a good starting point in the form of Ascent. If they can get their groove going, then maybe they can carry the momentum forward into Split. But if they do not, I think this is going to be a quick 2-0.
Should be a quick 2-0. But then also, I kind of am very intrigued by what sort of approach Team XX, Zola, that is Orgless 5, would bring onto the table, because it's very easy for a team who is starting out to just play aggressive, just go really, really high attacking in terms of strategies, and then just try to burst into sites with the utility and everything. I think they have the default set, because that is what any team does, right? Especially when they're formed, the first thing which they do is to try and fix up their defaults, that how are they going to prepare their executes. And that is something which I feel Team Orgless 5 should have mastered, and they can actually use it. Unfortunately, of course, God Particles is the team that is going to be attacking first on Ascend. Not really sure if that gives Orgless 5 that advantage to start up with, but if that's not the case, if they don't really get that confidence up and running right from the start, they could face a lot of problems, because the next map is going to be Split. And just like you mentioned, it could be a quick 2-0. For Orgless 5 to win, the win condition is straight, to try and get as much confidence building in the team from the start as possible, and then just ride the momentum, just ride the tide till the very end and close out games as soon as possible. For them, going aggressive shouldn't be that tough, because Sai and Wimp, they're really, really aggressive players. But when it actually comes down to God Vexy, he's sort of a more methodical approach. He likes to gather intel for the team and functions a bit slower. I'm not sure what Hacker is up to be, what Hacker sort of plays as well. So with all that in contention, I feel like, yeah, Sen could be a very dicey affair as well. What do you think, Crips, though?
I'm a bit nervous that they're starting on the defense first. August 5, when they were playing under the banner of Team EXO, they were aggressive, but it was a bit controlled. If Excali pushes out with the op towards B main, then nobody will be anywhere close to A main, and vice versa. But now that they're starting on the defensive side, the pace of the game will be dictated by August 5, but the place where battles take place will be dictated by God Particles. So let's see what happens as we jump into the agent selection for the first map, ladies and gentlemen. And you can already see what the lineup is gonna be. It's a double initiator once again. Wimp on the Sky, Godvexy on Zoa, Sai, as expected, picking up the duelist in the form of Jet. Blackhawk was always going to pick up the Astra, so no surprises over there. But Hacker filling in the role of the Sentinel.
Interesting stuff. Never really imagined that Wimp and Godvexy would play initiators together in the same lineup, but well, you have it. There you have it. Now, a double initiator, of course, it does help on the map of Ascent. You get some information as well as you get those opening flashes as well. Hacker on the KJ, I'm really excited. But on the other side, we've got a sort of similar lineup as well. I'll look into the lineup once again. We have a double initiator. No, wait, we have a double duelist lineup.
Duelist.
Scargod has picked up the Raze. Nitrite has picked up the Jet. We've got Logista on the Cage and Whitehorse on Astra. So the only difference is the difference in approach, right? One team wants to go double duelist, send in one player first, and then probably follow along with him. The other team kind of bangs on some more information.
Yeah, it's kind of poetic how there is Whitehorse on the Astra and then Blackhawk as well.
Right here.
So there's a million shades of grey in between them, I guess. Either way, I'm glad to see Shivi back on the server. Thought Bexy is going to be going up against him in the counterpart. And let's jump into the game, ladies and gentlemen. We are about to go live with Ascent. And we'll see what the setup is like. Hacker putting up his utility on the A side already. And he's only committed the turret so far. He hasn't done anything else. For the side of God Particles, they're chilling outside of B. No intention of taking mid so far. This most likely will be a full-blown B-rush, and only God Vexy is here to stop this. And you can see the preemptive shock darts by both the Sovas. One to push him off the border edge, and the other one to stop the rush. They move in, trying to close the door of Market. And God Vexy is on an island, trapped, tucked away from his team, just trying to get as many kills as possible before he does go down eventually. And it's trying. They're trying to get the spike down before the retake can even arrive. Hacker, he's been the first point of contact, but he needs to wait a little bit. His teammates are far away, and he goes in all by himself, giving away his life for free. 2v2.
Yeah, Sai coming in from first lane. One tap on Logista. It's a 1v2 right now. Logista, or rather Scargod, will be overwhelmed with the presence of Sai. Two nice quick frags for him, 2 headshots to actually clean up the round. And as he cleans up God Particles, this was sort of a good recovery, isn't it, from Orgless 5? Because you look at things, the way God Vexy kind of tucked him in boathouse of trying to get the first kill. He does establish the man advantage, but he goes down as soon as that happened. But after that, the way EXO came in, or rather Orgless 5 came in, it was nice. It was good to see that Sai on the jet once again is just swinging corners and hitting those heads. Perfect. Just like you mentioned, it's poetic, of course. Reminds us of the first agents that I used to play. He used to play the jet, right? And take that sort of flashy role, and he's doing justice to the role right now as well.
Yeah, and the best part was he went aggressively towards mid, just like a jet should. Of course, the rotation was delayed because of that. But if he keeps on playing aggressively like that, it will be amazing. And you can see already Sai is peeking out of the tree region. He's already moving up high mid, hasn't spotted anyone. This should give them all the information that they need. But they don't know if there's anyone present towards B main or not. He makes contact towards top mid. 1-for-1 trade. At least he spots out a lot of people. So now Orgless 5 have something to work with.
The controller is down, and that can be a problem, Crips, because they don't really have smokes to work with so far, and there is still 1 minute left on the clock in this round. They've got to work with what they have. They can use the jet smokes if possible, and even that is not there. So this is problems for God Particles, because now they need to make an entry against superior weapons without utility that can create them space.
Yeah, and speaking of utility, the Orgless 5's utility has already been put to use. They find out where God Particles are coming from. They know that there's presence towards B main, but do they know that there's people coming in from market as well? That could be the best thing that God Particles do in this round. But most of the players are very low on health, and Orgless 5 have the HP advantage. The market door breaks open, and that's EXO's cue to start moving deeper into B main, because if they stay there, they'll get pinched. And of course, they move aggressively deeper into B main, holding off the players down there. Wimp with the triple, securing the round for his team with only 1 casualty.
Exactly, and that one casualty was Sai, who actually pushed up to gather so much information, and he doesn't mind being the only casualty because he actually gathered intel for the team in return for that trade-off. So that was a perfect round. But then again, you have to always consider what God Particles did. The push-up onto mid and the B pinch was perfect. They didn't really have the weaponry to utilize that space that they had. They didn't have weaponry to kind of pinch those 2 players in the B main region. But had they had the guns with like big rifles and something like that, they could have used it to perfection. The fact that Sai lost his life very early on kind of costed them in giving more space to the opposition, and that shouldn't really be happening in the buy rounds that they have.
Yep, so luckily for them, Sai is holding a much safer angle this time around. Obviously dash back. He doesn't even need to do that, considering there's a Nebula right behind him for cover. He has absolutely no remorse, peek in the same angle once again, and still getting away with the kills. Now Blackhawk looks to engage from the other side of the Nebula. Scargon recognizes that Orgless 5 will go for plays like these when they have the man advantage, so he looks to punish this. Shivi already getting the kill onto Hacker. They've taken control of the A side, but the spike has been down on mid, and all this control on the A side, it goes to waste.
Yeah, and also the bodies are gonna fall. Sai gets a triple for himself, and Whitehorse left with a monumental task. Now, nobody knows his position, right? They probably just spotted 1 player, but now he's been spotted. God Vexy with his Spectre. I love this player, right? Under pressure when he performs. I absolutely love the aim, and this man has really got some balls on him. But with that said and done, I feel like Orgless 5 3rd round for them, and they've really dominated the start of this game, unlike we all thought it would be. I love this approach coming in from Sai. He's taking responsibility. He's at 6-1 so far. Especially that triple kill onto mid was so huge. Now, God Particles that tried to get that mid control, but they were unsuccessful. What do they do right now?
I'm not only glad that Sai is taking the responsibility, but also the initiative. He's not afraid of peeking out mid, and this aggressive control with the operator gives them so much control. Look at God Bexy. Even though he's alone, he doesn't really care. He knows for a fact that his teammates are already on the way. He just needs to do as much damage as he can, and even if he goes down, it's gonna be amazing! A quad kill already! Blackhawk takes the 5th one, and God Rexy like an absolute turret, mowing everybody down, not giving a single quarter.
I'm not really sure if the audience in the chat, they've seen episode 4 of the Valorant cinematic series, but KJ and the Race prepared a machine which is like madness, right? So you basically add in the paint shells and the turret together, and that is basically an explosive bot right there who no agent could defeat. God Vexy was such a bot over there. He was the one who nobody could defeat. Perfect aggression, but perfect positioning as well. That man was calm under pressure, and that was so good to watch. Now, I said it, I love this player, of course, but 4th round in the back for Orgless 5 as Skargot pushes in, very aggressive in mid. They probably know what to expect, but do they know that there are 2 players in B side right now?
Oh, but these guys are being funneled into mid. Team Orgless 5 want them to go from mid to market, but little do they know that even the players of Orgless are not prepared for the heavy weaponry, such as the showstopper. Hunter's Fury committed once again, hoping to draw some more time, hoping to buy themselves a little bit more space. Shivi doesn't connect, but he's given away his position. They just need to find out where Logista is, and they've seen him. Exosai turning into an attack helicopter. Doesn't land the shotgun blast with the knives, but it's completely fine because Hacker seals the deal. And this is such a massive way for Team Orgless 5 to adjust. Apologies if I call them EXO every now and then. I'm kind of used to saying that. But look at the adjustment that both the teams did in this round. So Sai had been peeking out of a shot every now and then, and that's why Logista threw his nanoswarm grenades towards that area so that Sai doesn't peek right at the start of the round. It did whatever God Particles wanted them to do, right? They took control of a shot, but in order to retaliate, what did Orgless 5 do? They put their alarm bots towards the A-shot region and then fell back from it. In case God Particles decide to go down there, they'll find out. And they decided to reinforce the mid-region instead. Even when they were knocked out by the Nebula, they completely were fine with it because they were confident of God Vexy's holding abilities on B, and they just needed to reinforce him from mid-market, and that's pretty much it. A lovely adjustment from God Particles as well, but unfortunately Orgless 5 adjusted even better.
Wimdo starts off with the first kill. That's the first blood for you. 5v4 so far. Skargot once again actually venturing out too much into mid. He will be punished, not really. Hacker, even though he gets a triple K in the last round, this time Skargot wins this duel. Kind of very quick trade-off. Shivi moving further. Blackhawk will trade him out, of course. A really nice exchange of duels so far, but Wimp has actually pushed up so far. Right now you can see this, right? Orgless 5, they're trying to get as much real estate as possible. They're pushing out from B main as well as A main. God Vexy pulls the final nail in the coffin almost, because now there's only Knight Rider with the Sheriff.
Oh, the moment he lands a dink, someone else comes in. He really thought he would be able to kill Wimp, but nah, God Vexy comes in with the big machine gun and mows him down. Either way, this was such an awkward round from God Particles. On one hand, you have Scar all the way down on mid. He's literally inside defender's spawn. But then on the other hand, the remaining members of his team are on their side of the attacking spawn. And they want Skargot to do something, right? He's so deep inside enemy lines, they're waiting for him to make a move. But before Skargot can even become relevant, all the teammates die and the spike has been dropped.
Yep. And they're also going to read Skargot's position, right? God Vexy was already in position with Odin, knowing that Skargot would come in from CT. But once again, a similar approach. You can see that Whitehorse as well as Skargot, both of them are actually moving up mid once again. But I don't see any engagement so far. Hacker has been stationed in spawn, knowing that these two players will try and explore mid.
Seekers have already been invested, so Wimp knows the aggression that God Particles is operating on. But he's kind of deep inside enemy territory, and that's what happens when you go down there. Shivi and Wimp, They play bait with each other. Amazing spray from Hacker, but Whitehorse trades him out. Got Vexy in a 1-and-done position. In this angle, the Odin is devastating. And that's the spike down. Now, how do God Particles adjust to this?
Oh my god, God Vexy with an Odin once again. This man has been tarnishing the opponent down one by one with every single bullet. And the Odin has a lot of those bullets, of course. But 2 attackers right now, almost in the entrance. Whitehorse as well as Knight Rider, they probably understand that God Vexy is very, very close, just inside the smoke. God Vexy adjusting, gets the first one. Blackhawk finds the next one. This is Orgless 5, and they're on a roll right now. This is amazing because nobody thought Orgless 5 would actually get such an advantage on defensive side on the map of Ascent. Like, this is a newly formed team, and even Hacker is performing.
Yeah, and they're playing so calmly and they're so composed. I mean, Orgless 5 are not even playing very aggressively. They just push out of B main, and that's it. Every now and then, Sai pushes out of mid, but he stopped doing that. In fact, the last round, Sai was not even present towards mid. He was towards A long. This time, he goes back to the position where he is the most devastating once more. And it's going to be a full 5-man B-rush. God Vexy has a massive responsibility on his shoulders and a massive gun in his hands, but the gravity well and shotgun combination doesn't kill him. He survives at 4 HP, not for longer, as Hacker also tries to negate the damage. But Sai, so good with the flicks, he stops Whitehorse from getting control. If Whitehorse was able to establish his presence towards mid-market over there, he could have cut off the rotation so easily, forcing the players of Team EXO to play away from each other. Although now Orgless 5 are starting to move in and the trade potential is available. Sai recognizes no one's towards being made. One more player spotted. Knight Rider spams Blackhawk down. 1v2 retake can be difficult with the op, but he has information on at least one player. Needs to find the other. Time is of the essence over here. Oh, he reloads at the first time and Shivi's behind him. First round now. Oh, they don't pick up the op. In fact, he picks up a Spectre. Bro, that's a bad economic decision, Shivi.
Of course, that was a bad economic decision, but for him, the fact that he actually pushed out from second lane to get Sai over there was a really nice decision that gave the God Particles the first round. You can see that once again, Orgless 5 were really comfortable. Sai coming in, getting those nice frags. He was always there to sort of clutch up the round. It was a 1v1, very dicey with the operator, so it kind of makes sense. But the way God Particles moved in, the collateral with the gravity wells, the shock dart, so many utility dumped in, that was just so good to watch.
And this is something that God Particles have done before. They use the nanoswarms to push Sai off that angle on 3. But even after taking control of mid-market, can they convert this into a spike plant? Seems a bit difficult because the astral utility allows him to get at least 1 kill before he goes down. Logista comes through with the trade, but at what cost? There's such a myriad of utility placed over here that by the time they try to go for the spike plant, it could be devastating. Whitehorse using the Cosmic Divide to keep his team safe, and he gets at least 1 more kill. Can't fall back to safety, but he's done his job well.
Yeah, of course he is. God Vexy trying his ultimate. Blackhawk finds Knight Rider in the process. God Vexy almost dinking down Logista there. You know this can work down because it's a 3v2, of course. Cosmic Divide has been put into position. God Vexy versus Chevy, Sova versus Sova, Vandal versus Odin. Nothing happening so far, and he just will be overwhelmed. Blackhawk with the 4th for himself. This man came in from mid, shutting down every single attacker in his way. He was like, all right, you're there, I'm gonna take you down. You're here, okay, fine, found you. Finally, he just put down 4 players, one by one. So good to watch.
Both the teams used their Cosmic Divides in this round. So the Cosmic Divide placed by Whitehorse was a bit weird, but it got the job done. All it did was lock out Market and the defender entrance region of B side, keeping his team safe from any rotations and hoping to delay the rotations, buying his team more space and more time. But the second Cosmic Divide, it forces the attackers to play outside of the boathouse region and play near that green box. And when 2 players are hiding in one place, it becomes so easy to flush them out.
I also love the decision that God Vexy used his ultimate right when the Cosmic Divide was placed. Even though he didn't get kills, he got some information where the players were. So even when the Cosmic Divide, even before it dismisses, you have some information. But here it comes, the first frag. God Vexy once again with the
painful.
Just perfect. This is torture, Chris. This is painful. I don't know. This seems like a prison to me. Shivy finally with a Spectre triumphs the Odin, but at what cost? 20 HP on this man and 34 bullets in the chamber.
Ouch.
Sai will spot him down. Big bullet
can't.
right through his chest. Shivy has been mowed down. Orgless 5 on a roll right now.
I can't watch this, Salty. It's too painful. God Particles are going for the same strat over and over again. 3 times in a row, they crunch mid plus B. They haven't even tried attacking the A side yet.
Here.
Finally,
Exactly,
they're trying something different. I mean, if I was down 9-1, I would at least take a tactical timeout. We give them the luxury of doing so, but they're not calling for it. And I was about to say that finally Team God Particles go for a default of sorts, but the moment I try to say that, they all go back towards the B side. Massive showstopper, doesn't result in anything. Knight Rider at least takes care of Vimp, but Sai is killing everyone before anyone can even enter. And that's the spike down all the way back over there. How do God Particles adjust to this now? Because they've got the P side, but the spike is back at the base. Oh no, this is really, really painful to watch. And Shivy has 3 people peeking him at the same time. One of them the operator. Knight Rider can't even fall back, bro. He's literally being sucked in. This is not looking like a team that was recently formed. It seems like they've been playing together for ages and ages, because that's how easy Orgless 5 are making it look like. God Particles, on the other hand, just take the time out. Pause it for a bit. Talk things over. They did the same strat 4 rounds in a row, and every time the result was the same. And again, a 5-man leader. Oh, no, bro.
God Particles were always a sort of a defensive team if you look at that way. So I'm not really worried. They might be able to mount a comeback when things actually... Yeah, they don't. Short darts coming, but even before that, Wim finds 3 for himself. He's gonna flash out. He knows exactly where White House is. The Seekers are out. This is the last round. He will find the player, and now it's all green for him. Yeah.
Everyone's getting highlight reels, man. Everyone. got Vexy with a quad kill. Blackhawk with a quad kill of his own. And now it's Wimp. Everyone's just taking turns to step up.
Yep. But is it time for fate to turn on its face as well? Because God Particles, they're back where their strength lies, right? They're back on defense. Even though 11-1, it needs to be a miracle if they want to make a comeback in this game. But Orgless 5, attacking would be tougher than defense, Cribs, because in attacking you need a lot of synergy, a lot of communication. And considering that this is a newly formed team, there might be a lapse in that thing. And if that happens, their attacking would again come crashing down, just like God Particles did. Now, I'm not really sure if that concept would actually work for God Particles, because they have been playing for a longer time. But yeah, let's just find out.
God Particles absolutely need to win this round. I can't even emphasize how important this pistol is. 4 people defending the B side already. This could be a good stack, but does Orgless 5 find a way to break through this? No, they don't want to break through this. They fall back. Let's see what's gonna happen, because Skargod is about to face 4 people at the same time, and he doesn't take that fight. Good decision, letting them pass instead. Sai gets into the site, doesn't get the kill, but it's okay because he's getting map control. His teammates start to flood in from the tree region, overwhelming them with superior numbers, but Knight Rider and Skargod lighting up the kill feed, keeping things competitive over here, as God Particles might just be in this game for yet another round. Or maybe even 2 more.
Yeah, exactly. Now they have the economy to buy better weaponry. The last round was really important, Crips, because you saw how fast the rotation was. There was a fat stack on B, and even before they could actually make their way towards A, God Particles was already there. The man advantage was so much present. Even though Sai, had he got the kill for himself, things would have been a little easier for for Team Orgless 5, but that's okay because that was just the first round.
Whew. Well, Orgless 5 are in no hurry to shut things down. They don't even invest in a lot of pistols. Plenty of classics and an opportunity for Knight Rider to get a nice highlight reel for himself, but he's good for only 1. I really hope they don't let them steal the Phantom, because that would be devastating. Wimp takes a boombot to the face. No way he could have prevented that. And they recover the Phantom. Cool. Not too much economic damage done. 2 kills. I think God Particles can tank that hit. But now Orgless 5 will have the better weaponry. The only good weapon that they have is this Phantom that was being passed around. There is a Vandal on Scargod as well, so it's 2 rifles going up against 5. Everyone else, they've got their Spectres.
Trip, so far we haven't really seen a lot of utility usage from Orgless 5. First 2 rounds, understandable. But then if you look at the general approach of things, they just want to make man advantage their best friend right now, because they're trying to work up B main, they're trying to work up mid. Every single time it was the man advantage, which was sort of a key thing for them. And utility usage sort of comes up with experience, and that is what I'm really trying to point out. Orgless 5, they're not really doing much in terms of utility. They're just trying to get real estate and man advantage working for them.
Yeah, they're conserving the smokes as well, methodically and slowly approaching the mid region. They first put it deeper, and now they are moving in. But as soon as I say that, they move back out. Scargod, Whitehorse, all of them caught off guard, thinking that EXO will never fight them in this place. Knight Rider does make it back to 3 versus 2, but still, it's a bit dicey. Wimp was trying to sneak into the B side. Shivi will say, good luck doing that, sir. Got Bexy already on the A side, but the spike is nowhere close. Luckily for them, neither is Team Orgless 5. They're not anywhere close. Knight Rider on the verge of going for a backstab, and there's no preventive utility by the Killjoy, so this will work for him. There's only a turret, which I think will be pinging a bit too late. Maybe this lockdown can buy them some time. And it doesn't cover the region of A main, so Knight Rider can still start moving through.
Oh no. God of Xe actually goes down now. It is sort of a 1v2 for Hacker. Should be the first test in this team so far. Needs a spot on Knight Rider. Needs to isolate those frags, but he wouldn't be able to do it. A triple kill for Knight Rider with a Phantom, just like you mentioned. It was the most important weapon for God Particles, and they actually make it work. This was perfect. This was really, really perfectly done. I mean, just like you mentioned, it was sort of very dicey in between because Knight Rider brought 2 back in mid. Orgless 5, once again, no real preventive utility being set up. There was one smoke that was put up in mid, but then we know it, Astral smokes, they dissipate real quickly, so even that didn't really help them. And as soon as Knight Rider peeks out, he gets 2 frags and immediately brings back all the success that Orgless 5 had in the start of the round itself. So again, like, God Particles are sort of getting the first taste of victory so far, 11-4. This is exactly what I worried for. Orgless 5 might actually succumb in their attacking half.
Well, God Particles have 4, but can they get any more? It's gonna be a difficult task to take the score even further, but they're gonna try their best nonetheless. Clearing out vines, methodically moving in, Knight Rider ready for the offense. Who's gonna peek first? He's only got a bunch of pistols to deal with, so this op should, on paper, have an easy time. Drone destroyed, flash dodged, ready for the action once more, and he doesn't connect. No problem. At least now Team Orgless 5 knows where the op is, and they've drawn out the rotation of God Particles towards the A side. All 5 of them present over here. If they hit B right now, it will be amazing. But Logista, the only defender on mid, has fallen. That forces the Sova to come through and defend, which obviously Shivi is up for. Doesn't spawn even towards B just yet, so that's good. At least God Particles are regaining some semblance of map control.
Spike down mid.
Yeah.
1 enemy remaining.
Exactly, only 1 player survives, and that's going to be God Vexy now. What can he possibly pull off? 1 frag? Not really. Whitehorse shuts him down, 11-5 once again. This was an eco round, you can't really complain. Orgless 5, they built up that cushion for themselves, so even if they win a couple of, even if they lose a couple of rounds in their attacking half, they will have the advantage. But for how long? Because it seems like momentum is once again shifting towards God Particles, and they are on a roll right now. Things are working out for them. Orgless 5 though, for them, they need a change in plans. Once again, they're trying to probably brute force their way towards B. I don't really think they've got a lot of initiating utility over there, because the Sova is towards the A side. I think he'll try and fake out an A push with a recon dart. Not really sure. Let's just find out. Hacker though. Waiting. It's been a rather slower approach for Orgless 5, and I'm loving this, right? Put your utility down, take your time, get some information, and then try and push in. Should be the name of the game for Orgless 5, but then God Particles are really, really good in kind of reading what the opposition has been doing.
Exactly what I wanted to say. Even though Orgless 5 are gaining information, God Particles can adjust really quickly, and that is something that Orgless needs to be aware about. The pace of adjustment is actually pretty rapid. If they keep this in mind, they should also realize that it is easy to fake out God Particles, but let's see if they decide to go down that road or they try to go down the brute force road. They can do it their way or the hard way, but of course they choose the latter. Hacker's the only guy relevant in this round, getting quite a lot of damage done. At least he keeps the economy of God Particles humble, but the AWP is recovered again by White Horse, so not all is lost. Seems like God Particles still have a say in this game, and they're slowly and steadily inching closer and closer to halfway point. Finally, a tactical timeout activated. They should have done this ages ago, and when I say they over here, I'm obviously referring to God Particles. They never took a tactical timeout, even when they were, 11-1 down. So this is nice, I guess. I mean, what do Orgless 5 have to say for now? They've been working on their defaults. They take control of mid. They try to send some presence over A and the B main regions as well. And after that, if they get a pick, then all is well and good. If they don't get a pick, they converge from mid to B anyway. So that's what the Orgless 5 strat looks like. Obviously, there is a way to counter it. You just simply give up mid control, let them move towards market, and then crunch them over there. The crossfires are easier for the defenders in that region. So even if they lose control of the actual mid area, as long as they don't let any Orgless 5 members seep into the defender spawn, I think God Particles should be fine.
I have a very interesting observation, Trips, in this game. We've played 17 rounds, right? And only one round has been won by attackers so far. What does this tell you?
That's just Ascent, man. It's just Ascent. Both the teams struggling on their attacking side. But obviously, Orgless 5 have a lot less work to do. Nitrider saving his stash. That's going to be pretty important later on. Oh my god, Sai trying to once again gain the high ground on him. The Jet versus Jet action won't see any results just yet, but a mid to B crunch is once again coming into fruition. Wimp,
nice.
Early kill onto Logista. That's the killjoy down. It's gonna make life for his team so much more easier when those nanoswarm grenades are not being activated at their feet. Nitrider looking for an opportunity as soon as the Nebula fades. But the moment Nebula fades, the Cosmic Divide comes up. It's like he's just never getting a chance, and his teammate will never do that. At least Sai gets taken down, so they have a chance to take control of market once more. But this 2 versus 4 retake, it's difficult already. And that too with an op. And you can see it's killing them. Like, they want to go for it, but at the same time, they realize it's not possible, so they kind of want to save. But if they save, it's going to be map point. You can feel that burning away in the hearts of Team God Particles.
At least they can do some economic damage trying to wait for exit frag so far. I'm not really sure if that's going to be successful. Nitrider is in a position where he might actually find one important frag. Does get Blackhawk, but that's about it. Hacker and God Vexy died to the spike, so that's some sort of job done. And that sort of hurts Team Orgless 5. Even though they did win, they don't really have a lot of cash to work with, especially Sai. You can see that he needs to bank upon his knife so far. He can also probably get a rifle for himself. So match point for Orgless 5. They have the economy to full buy this round. And that's a lot of pressure. That is a lot of pressure on God Particles to actually bring this back.
Yeah.
Not really sure what the approach is going to be like.
God Particles might have the money, but they're not rich in the number where it matters the most.
Exactly. They have money. They're rich, but are they happy? I don't think so.
Yeah, it's a classic old debate. That's a capitalist lie that they tell you, but hey, let me tell you something that's not a lie. This information that was cleared by the Trailblazer does not spot the Opper over there in form of Sai. This could actually scare Team God Particles quite a lot, but Nitrider's position not being revealed is a bit difficult to digest. Shivi using the Hunter's Fury, only 2 beams of it. And he knows that there's people coming in from 3. That's why you can see the shock darts and the paint shells are being thrown in. Even the spike has been dropped. That gives them all they need to know. And through the players of Orgless 5 getting revealed through the recon dart, that allows for pre-fires to come through from the smoke. Wimp keeping things competitive, but It's already a man advantage for the side of God Particles, but Wimp says no,
Oh
he
no.
neutralizes everything. And there's even a dink available. This could very well be the end of the game. Lockdown committed, but does Wimp care about it? No, he doesn't.
Spike planted.
He definitely plants the spike, but then right now, what should be the approach? Shock Dart does come in. It does not destroy the lockdown, kind of exposes himself too much. Logesta trying to go for the trade, but that doesn't happen. Knight Rider just barely breathing at this point, has to do a lot of responsibility. God Particles, pardon me for that. They really want to survive this, but Wimp is actually turning it around. It's an ace for him, and he makes it work.
Jesus.
As Team Orgless 5, they clinched the first map of the series in some stellar fashion. A lot of questions raised, a lot of questions being asked against this team, but they still function like a well-oiled machine.
Oof, this well-oiled machine is a killing machine. Everyone on Team Orgless 5 stepping up. Is this even a team anymore, or it's just a bunch of individual fraggers nailing everybody? Wimp had an ace in the last round. He had a quad kill before that. And everyone got a chance, right? I mean, Blackhawk got a quad kill, Sty got a quad kill. Everyone's just stepping up like it's nobody's business. An 11-1 lead converted into a 13-6 victory. This was Orgless 5's game right from the get-go. Now, I want to see if they can carry the momentum forward into the map of Split. But before I do that, I want to see all those frags once again. There was so many amazing moments from all the individual members of Orgless 5. Let's take a look at the highlights.
Yep, of course. Speaking of highlights, I guess the first one would be first couple of VODs would be Sai's. I think he just went absolutely berserk with the Spectre, with the Ghost and the Op right from the get-go. This was a Vim 3K, right? Orgless 5. They had some amazing performance at the start of this map itself, right? You'll probably have a look at this was the one where Sai went absolutely berserk. He gets the first one with the jet knives. He moves in even further. He might get taken down, or probably he doesn't. Yeah, it was Hacker who actually got a 3K in this one. It doesn't really matter, right? Orgless 5, they were really aggressive and they were really ruthless right from the start, and God Particles never really respond.
Oof. Yeah, God Particles, they did not have an answer to this one. Honestly, I'm not even sure if they wanted to find the answer because they're just doing the same thing over and over again. It kind of felt like that, didn't it? Because they tried mid plus B executes like for 5-6 times in a row, and they didn't change much
Yeah.
about it. The only thing that they adjusted to was the nanoswarms that they put in on a tree so that Sai doesn't go ahead and be berserk with the op. That's the only adjustment that they made. Other than that, I don't really see anything special being done by the side of God Particles, which kind of elevates their game to the next level. And every time people come in from mid market, someone or the other is there to shut them down on mid using nanoswarms to delay. And if they are able to delay them, then the players on B main won't be able to do much. So there's just this disruption that Team Orgless 5 are causing in the camp of God Particles, and it's working every time. There's just so much utility being put in by Blackhawk, disruptions by Wimp, his flashes, then Blackhawk's gravity wells, just delaying and disrupting the pushes of God Particles makes this so much more easier for them. Of course, this game could have ended a lot sooner. God Particles were able to get a couple of rounds on their defensive side as well, to which you made the joke that none of the teams are able to win rounds on their attacking side, right? There was a point where only a single attacking round victory was posted
Yeah.
on the scoreboard by God Particles. So Orgless 5 also suffered that trend for a bit, but they found a solution to it, a permanent one, quickly enough, and they put an end to Ascent.
This was such a nice game to watch. I mean, especially Orgless 5. I'm so happy to look at this team and look at this team perform. And every single play, they were really just doing their responsibilities, doing justice to the responsibilities given to them. Even Hacker, for that matter, I feel like Hacker was a player who had to encounter a lot of questions from us as well, from the audience. But even now, he has probably proven himself, and he definitely is a good player. I feel like he shouldn't be a manager anymore. He should be a professional player. Nonetheless, Wimp getting that ace in the final round was a perfect way to kind of sign things off. Orgless 5 versus God Particles, 13-6, ladies and gentlemen. You can see that God Vexy is on the MVP standings, and of course, he is on the MVP star. He is the MVP in this match for a reason. On the B side, with the Odin, with the recon dart, he was a beast incarnate. You mentioned, right, when he was like he got a 4K all by himself and 5 men were pushing at him. That was sort of testament to the fact that he is a proper addition in this lineup. I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
Sai would be proud of this addition. And God Particles, again, Shibi kind of tried with 14 frags, but couldn't really get results.
Yeah, he couldn't. God Vexy and his opening frags was just a bit too much of an obstacle for God Particles to overcome. If God Vexy keeps on holding down all these areas like the absolute turret that he is, then I can see a similar result happening in Split as well. Of course, God Vexy won't be playing Sova in Split. He'll probably pick up something else. We might even see the KO coming back in meta. But what do Orgless 5 do in Split is something that they need to find out after a couple of minutes, which we will also have to wait for. That's why, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go on a tiny break. But right after this break, we'll be back with the map of Split. I hope you guys don't go anywhere. Go ahead and restock your snacks, and we'll be back in just a bit.
the legends of memory and storage. Crucial brings you the ultimate performance in gaming. Legendary products. Precision engineered. For speed and stability. Crucial ballistics.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to LG Ultragear presents Tec Gauntlet Season 4, powered by Crucial and apparel partner 6x6. We are watching the match between God Particles and Orgless 5, and Orgless 5 are already the winners of Ascent. Now we are heading into Split, a map which is picked up by God Particles, and let's be honest, they are pretty damn good at it. Back when they were called F1 and they had Knight Rider in their team, this was the absolute best map of that team. Split was a
Yep.
dominant affair for the side of God Particles, and their standard slow burn approach was just so difficult to deal with because these guys always have double or triple fakes ready. In fact, the other day I was talking to Paradox from True Rippers, and he tells me that this team is so annoying to play against on Split because the only way to play against God Particles when they are on the attacking side is to play aggressively. If Oculus 5 play very passively without taking any information, they will be at the mercy of God Particles. And because God Particles are the kind of team that go for double, triple fakes on a map like Split, Oculus 5 will need to bring their A game in terms of information gathering.
Yep. Exactly. Now, you speak of double and triple fakes. Now, I'm sort of surprised because I didn't really see any of that on the map of Ascent.
Yeah,
Let's not
exactly.
even talk about fakes, right? They didn't even change their approach from the B side to the A side. I don't even remember one time they tried hitting the A main. Might have short memory, but even if they did, probably wouldn't be more than once.
Mm,
So speaking of that, with considering that in our mind, I think Split is gonna be a question mark because yeah, of course, fakes can work well against Orgless 5. You see how fast they rotate. Of course, God Particles also, for that fact, rotate really fast. Their read game is very
mm.
quick. But on that note, I feel like against Orgless 5, who was sort of like who were very dominant on defensive sides, and you couldn't really enter into a particular side by brute forcing them. They had the utility game on point. It will be essential for God Particles to try and do something different, and that is to try and fake our start because they are starting on the attacking side, Crips, and they need to get the momentum up and running right from the start of it.
Exactly. I agree with you 100% because we never saw anything like that in Ascent. In fact, they were going for mid plus B on Ascent like 4 or 5 times in a row. And that's not done. It's not like they adjusted much. The only adjustment they made was the placement of one nanoswarm grenade, which is nothing in the grand scheme of things. Going into split, they're gonna have to do a lot more than that. So without further ado, we'll be jumping into the agent selection quickly enough. But I am a little excited. Now I don't know what Sai will pick up. Of course, on Ascent, he picked up the Jet. On Split, he usually picks up the KO, but is he going to go for it now as well under the new banner? Or is he going to stick to the role of the duelist and someone else picks up a KO? All right, this is it. Sai has indeed picked up the Sai. He's picked up the Jet, and Wimp with the Killjoy, Vexy with the Sky. There is no KO. All right, then. It's a double duelist for the side of Team Orgless 5. This is weird because I'm seeing Blackhawk on Raze and Hacker on
first
the
time?
Astra instead. Yeah, I've
This
never
is-
seen Blackhawk on Raze before.
I've never seen Blackhawk play anything apart from controllers. Like
Exactly.
apart from Omen and Astra. He's always switched between the Omen and Astra. You remember the time when he used to always play the Omen even when Omen was out of its meta? Omen was out of the meta. He would play Omen on the map split. He would ditch the Astra. But then probably in the last season of the Gauntlet, in the final few matches, he did pick up the Astra quite a lot. But on the other side, if you speak of God Particles, then Shivy has got the KO. So we are going to see some KO action. Scargod is still shuttling between Sova and a Cypher. We've got Logista on Viper as well. White Horse on the Astro Knight
Choose
Rider
your
on the
agent.
Sage. Now, interestingly enough, we've got a mid wall. Knight Rider, who generally plays a primary role of a duelist, has actually picked up the Sage for a mid wall. Scargod might just play the only duelist in it, and that's going to be the Ray. So we have sort of a basic lineup from the side of God Particles, but on the side of Orgless 5, a double duelist lineup is something which I've never really seen. And for the first
Yeah.
time, Crips, I feel like Team XXO, they're missing a mid wall because Ghost would always pick up the mid wall. So I think they're sort of conditioned to playing like that. How are they going to adjust to the double duelist lineup is certainly a question.
Yeah, this is gonna be such a different vibe from August 5 altogether. I mean, I'm really gonna keep my eyes on Blackhawk this round because I have no idea what this man is capable of on a duelist. But I mean, as his aim suggests, he definitely will be a force to be reckoned with. On the other hand, there is the possibility of a mid-volve in the second half, but for now, Knight Rider is gonna have to make do with just the healing duty on the attacking side. And like I said, God Particles are the team that like to go for double fakes, triple fakes, and that's exactly why they're splitting up. Take a look at how default the spread is. You've got the Viper alongside one more player just outside of A, that's the KO. You've got the Astra and Sewers, and then you've got the Rays and the Sage over here outside of B. Wimp's flash captures the information of at least one player on B, but Team Orgless 5 already knew that, didn't they? They knew for a fact that
Yeah.
these guys will be going for a split approach, so no surprises over there. Now the patience game comes into play. Logista already moving forward, getting the kill onto Blackhawk. And as the round progresses, I want to see if the players on the attacking side clump up together and hit a side, or are they going to go for a split approach like they usually do? Spike still down in mid market, no recovery just yet, but the players are starting to huddle up outside of A, which kind of tells you everything you need to know about this. The only thing I'm worried about is a potential spike plant on the B side, but that's not going to happen. It's now moving to its A, and it's confirmed to be an A hit.
Yeah, it should be. The spike is very low though. I mean, the spike is nowhere near the side, and so far, Team Orgless 5, they've managed to rotate. They have the presence towards the A side, even though the CT side has been a kind of walled off, so that approach is not really happening so far.
30
5 players,
seconds
or
left.
rather 4 players funneling down from heaven, that kind of raises some questions for me. So far, the spike has gone down. They are in post-on positions, but most of them are sort of huddled down in elbow. Wall being attempted to break, the smoke is there as well, but God Vexy trying to make something happen, trying to take down the first form of resistance that is going to be White Horse, trying to clear some angle. It was very surprising for me that Blackhawk actually gave his life up trying to push up, but White Horse goes down to zero. Scargod gets hacker, so no controller action anymore. Sai will still push up White Horse, and White Horse is going to feast on that man. And this is what I say that it's a flawless
No
for Team God Particle. Slow burn approach, you mentioned it right at the start of the game, and this looked like a very slow approach. They tried to split up, get some information, have that engagement in mid. Even though they did lose lives, I guess they got a frag towards that A side, right? But just exploited that empty space.
Yeah, exploit the empty space, have the spike carry forward from all the way in attacking spawn. And I'm really, really amused at the fact that Whitehorse is being chased to the depths of the sewers. That wasted so much time and so much manpower from the side of Team Orgless 5. They never had anything left for the actual retake. This time, there's no fakes, nothing of sorts. Five-man push towards the B side from the attackers. Meanwhile, the defenders
Five-man
have
push.
pushed, yeah, from A. Just playing ring around the rosies on this entire map.
Yeah. Now this kind of raises questions, right? This sort of raised eyebrows on the camp of God Particles, because they're like, wait, what? There's no defenders, so they try and push up really deep, but then they kind of know that okay, so this should be a backstab, and they've set up a crossfire for it, a KO and a Viper crossfire. Do they have utility to work with as well? Yeah, they have the flashes. I assume there will be the snake bites as well, kind of preparing for players to come down from heavens. Spectre goes in. All Sai has been taken down. Once again, the advanced weaponry is working. Is working things for God Particle so far, and this shouldn't really be a very difficult round for them.
Well, rather easy one. 2 rounds for God Particles in a row. They should be on a bonus. Defenders on full buy. Now, this is where the acid test starts for a team like Orgless 5. They've got the better weaponry. On paper, if they hold their angles at long range, they should be able to win the duels against Spectres. But in theory, as we have already discussed before, the lack of aggression might result in them getting bamboozled. So how do they gather information while still retaining man advantage and not taking risks?
And also, is Orgless 5 really the team to just hold angles and not push up too much? I don't think so. Blackhawk
Yeah, they're
finds
not.
one, but takes in a lot of damage in return. There's a boom bot, but I don't think that's going to get a lot of information. Blackhawk is still in position, will get healed up. Shivy is stuck into this corner. Now, they have no side control yet. God Particles are struggling to actually move in. A lot of dings in position, but Logista still finds hackers, so no smoke action right now. Blackhawk just waiting for these players to go in and plant the spike, but there's no... There is one. KO is actually moving up. Shivy can actually do a lot of damage. Sai coming in from behind. Whitehorse has been taken down as well.
Shivy already towards screens, hasn't been spotted just yet. And Wim was aware of this possibility, but he's just a bit too late to activate that alarm bot. Shivy already in the back lines. Now this is going to start to pressure Team Orgless 5 from both the sides. They have no choice but to move in instantly. And Sai picks up the pace and the pieces. Shivy trying his level best to keep them at bay. Detects them both at the same time, and then he sees them meeting his death. That's the first round going in the favor of Orgless 5.
Such a nice round, especially the fact that Shivy actually makes his way so deep, but then it just doesn't really work out. Orgless 5 were always prepared for him to come in, and they were double peeking him, so of course it was supposed to go that route. But the way they made their way entry into the site was sort of very dicey 5-man pushes, even though they did take a lot of damage. But they eventually found a way into site, right? Using the smokes, they did manage to get their way into the site, from the spike, and just like that was a very weird trade game happening. But at least they got their first round.
At least they got the first round. That's like a breath of fresh air. If they keep up this momentum, hopefully they can channel the same gameplay that we saw on Ascent over here as well. Once again, God Particles go back to doing what they do best, holding their defaults, and it's already paying off dividends. Scargod with the first pick already, making things so much easier. You know, whenever it's a 4 versus 4, the attackers always have an advantage, and that's exactly what happens over here. Hacker has been isolated, so he can get traded out immediately. That is a heaven control relinquished to God Particles, but they already are keen on taking the site. Spike moving inside. Blackhawk trying to be cheeky around the smokes, might just be able to deny the plant, and he falls back to safety as well. The boombot will most likely detect Whitehorse, and it goes up in his face, but the quick adjustment is amazing. We're keeping things competitive. Things are still dicey. 2 versus 2, and Scar got out in the open, picking up an unnecessary duel, losing the spike again. It's just down to Wimp, but he's done all that he can. 2 characters that can heal, but both of them at full HP. both of them aware about each other's positions. 30 seconds on the
30
clock,
seconds
and the
left.
pressure is on Knight Rider to pick up the spike. But Godvexy has no idea. Yes, now he does. Sees him. Knight Rider still so ballsy, just picking up the fight like it's nobody's business. Gave away sound cues. His opponent was fully aware about where he stands, but does he care about that? No, sir, he does not. Oof. 3, 2, 1, and whatever momentum that Team God Particles had cooked up in the first win, it's been nullified. Now they are back to their eco weapons. It's just a bunch of sheriffs left. And that's the worst thing that can happen to you after you win a round. Losing the one immediately after it. That's gonna cause so much trouble for your economy. Losing the loss bonus like that is always the worst thing that can happen to a team early on in the half. You lose that momentum, you let the other team get a couple of rounds in a row, and they're already feeling it. And especially Split being such a heavily momentum-based map, you cannot afford to lose your economic momentum. Team EXO, or rather should I say Team Orgless 5, hopefully can set up some aggressive maneuvers because they have nothing to lose this round. It's just a bunch of eco pistols, so they might be able to try something new. But I just hope that they get some information that they can use in the actual buy rounds on the basis of whatever they do in this eco. Usually there's low risk involved, so they might as well push mid or push any one of those sites. You know how they stacked up the A site last time around and rushed all at once? They can do something like that again. But instead of doing that, EXO have given up on the A actual site and they're defending from the A Heavens region instead. 3 people on B. Not a lot of presence on mid. So this default spread from the side of Orgless 5, especially on an eco, seems a bit dicey to me. Godvexy's gonna have a lot of people heading his way. He can see at least 3 people, knows there's gonna be more behind him. Knight Rider pushing Sai, winning the duel. Godvexy could at least one with the shorty. That's a cheeky frag. But can Hacker nail the timing? Yes, he can. The dink comes through, but Whitehorse a bit too healthy for that one. Well, I think this is all she wrote for him. Not think there's much that Team Orgless 5 can do right now, but they were never supposed to get a lot done in this round anyway. Maybe they can save the Spectre. They might even save the Spectre. You're going to have Buyer in the next round anyway. You will be able to afford Vandals and Phantoms. So just go ham, Blackhawk. Show us what that raise can actually do. Just cause some economic damage. It's such a breath of fresh air, you know, watching Blackhawk play something other than the Astra, because I've always known him to be that calm and composed person who's just omnipresent on the map. That's a luxury that Astra gives you. But there is a certain luxury that not all of us have, and that is a good internet connection.
I got enough time to go into the
Team
astral
God
form?
Particles have just lost 2 people because of some internet issue, and we are most likely going to head into a technical pause. And hopefully, the internet gods bless them and we can continue with the game once again. As soon as we are done with that, we'll let you know. In the first 5 rounds, though, we have noticed one trend. Every time EXO rotate preemptively, the situation ends up panning out in their favor. But in order to do that, they must play aggressively towards either A main or B main. And every time they do that, they risk losing a couple of players. And I said this before in the 3rd round as well. I'm going to say it again now in round number 6. This is a problem that Team Orgless 5 need to find a solution to. The lack of an initiator, or a dual initiator, I would rather say, makes Wimp the only information gatherer. And so, I'm sorry, it's not even Wimp this time who's playing this guy. I mean, it's got Vexy, so it's all up to Vexy to gather information using his Trailblazer or his Guiding Light, and maybe up to Sai, who can hopefully move ahead and dash back to safety while observing people.
Yeah, now the ping is fine.
Hey, what's going on, Assassin? Is the stream live or what? Can I continue? Alright. Yeah, just waiting on this technical pause to end because 2 players of Team God Particles have disconnected. And just to give you a quick rundown for those of you who just tuned in, apologies for the technical issues, but what can I say? We're living in 2022 and the internet gods still create problems for us, so what can I even say? Yeah, just a quick rundown of what's happening so far. Team God Particles, they've been running well with the splits, and the funny part is, these splits are giving them dividends purely by going to its A main and B main respectively. They don't even need to enter the mid region in order to make this effective. But on the other hand, Orgless 5, they need to find a way to gather information without losing too many of their players. And because only God Vexy is the person that can gather information using utility, everyone else will have to gather information by physically going ahead and spotting out people, which is obviously a bit difficult to do considering you might lose your life. But hey, it is what it is.
So I mean, some interesting things happened while I was disconnected, Crips.
Oh wait, even Salty
I
was gone.
think-
Yeah, everyone's
yeah.
facing internet issues. Like 2 people from God Particles disconnected. Salty also going down at the same time. I wondered if you guys have the same ISP, and if you do, then I would love to send them a piece of my mind with colorful language.
I understand, right? But then also we're based on different locations, so I don't think even if we have the same IP, there should be a problem. But then it seems like all the internet server providers, they kind of work in tandem with each other. They're like, oh, you're cutting the connection, I'm gonna do this too.
Yeah, just coordinating with each other to make our lives miserable. Indian ISPs
Yeah.
in 2022 still not sorted, but hopefully the round will start soon. The freeze time has been unfrozen, and the players of God Particles are back. We're ready to head back into the game, ladies and gentlemen. And Sai has picked up the big gun. The operator on mid. Will it spot anyone?
Peek out.
Will it kill anyone? He knows there's at least someone towards market, so he's not gonna fall back from this angle. His patience being key.
Oh, no.
Too many gravity wells and Astra utility in his way, so he just dashes back to safety. Good stuff. Now, it doesn't even matter if these guys are suppressed because they've used up most of the important utility already. Flash to push Sai off the angle, but he doesn't move.
Oh, no.
Still holding in, and Scargod gets downed. God Vexy takes down
Spike
Magista as
down
well.
mid.
This is a spike drop, and this is a good defense from the side of Team
You are divided.
Orgless 5. Just mowing everybody down. Fragment grenade doesn't deter Sai
my
from peeking. He steps into the fragment and still gets a kill.
This man is insane. For sure, White Horse though. Probably unaware that he's gonna face Black Hawk. So he does. Finds him definitely, but it's still a 1v2. Can he clutch this? White Horse is probably given out the sound cue, but Sai is not checking the right angle. Neither is this guy. He's gonna peek out, get the first one, but God Vexy is there quickly on the trigger to find the trade. This was a really close affair. I mean, had God Vexy sort of not peeked out at the same time, I think the round could have been done and dusted because God Vexy was quite low on HP. But at least the ultimate situation is looking good. They've got the Seekers, they've got the Lockdown, they also have the Showstopper and the Astral Divide. Can help them get more rounds back and help them even the scoreline, Crips.
Oof. What a sweaty round, wasn't it? So many kills going down on mid. And Sai, what an absolute beast, just doesn't care about a thing in the world. You push him off the angle, you use Astra utility, you use the KO flashes, you use anything you want, but that's not gonna stop this man from doing what he wants to do. And that is clicking heads.
Once again, another technical pause. This is sort of a key thing in every Indian Valorant event or any esports event which is based in India, to be honest. In general,
in South
exactly.
Asia, for that matter. I mean, this whole region.
South Asia too? I thought it's just India.
I hope it's just India. I really don't want our neighboring countries to be going through the same pain that we do. I wouldn't wish that pain on my worst enemy, mind you. No. Well, at least at least we have established one thing over here. And that is if Orgless 5 continue to double down on mid, they can at least get some semblance of map control back. They might not be able to deal with the defaults of God Particles, which are towards the extremities of the map, let's say A main and B main. But at least if they have mid in control, faking will be a lot harder for God Particles because then they can't get control of the mid vent region. If they get control of vents, it becomes so much harder to predict where they're actually going to go because then the options for God Particles open up like anything. At least now, if they have control of mid, they will be forcing God Particles to rotate all the way from either the attacking spawn or sewers, which obviously is a very lengthy rotation. So you have some time to adjust before you call it a fake or whether you call it a bluff.
Yeah. 10 seconds on the clock, and I'm just waiting for this round to start because this round is really important, kind of important for Orgless 5 to get back their lost round in this game, and important for God Particles to establish the control that they have. Sorry, oh my god, peeking out on top of that snake bite, doesn't even care if he takes in damage. Gets that nice frag, and Wimp is in position as well. Knows exactly where Logista is. The gun barrel, this is problematic. Logista taking him down, but Wimp quick on the trade. It's a 2v1 trade that has happened very quickly in this round. But so far, the attacking team, they don't really have that advantage. They don't really have any sort of ground because they've lost 2 players on the back of just 1. The defenders can still establish some control. There is, I believe, Wimp in the A side. The Raze in the form of a Blackhawk can actually get control of mid as well. They've not lost any ground so far, but they've lost 2 opponents. That's good for them. Now the question is, what can God Particles string together? They've got 3 players. They don't really have the luxury of a Viper available. They can make the Astral Smoke work for them, create some opening, but here it comes, the resurrection. That was long awaited. Logista is back. The lockdown will be there, kind of form some resistance. The showstopper doesn't really destroy it, but Skargout destroys Wimp and the lockdown as well.
Oh no, Blackhawk dealt with this. Showstopper could have been devastating if it came through at the right time, but it doesn't, and his aggression has been dealt with. It seems like the defenders have a massive responsibility on their shoulders, but Godvexy is so confused, he doesn't spot anyone anywhere. He can't even hear them go up and down that rope room because of the Cosmic Divide blocking all the sound. But he might just be able to deny the spike plant. Just a couple more seconds, and he should be able to do it. The spike getting planted out in the open. Hacker can come in and kill the Astra, but there is a bodyguard in the form of Knight Rider. Both of them taking damage right now, and Hacker has his work cut out for him.
1v2, the Sage is quite low, but can definitely restabilize herself. Knight Rider just holding elbows, whereas Whitehorse, Hacker has to do so much. Once again, a 1v2 spots both of them down, but they double peek, and Whitehorse finally finds a frag, nails that shot on the head of Hacker, and he rescues a round for God Particles. It was very dicey, but the entry was good. I mean, the fact that Hacker couldn't really get the bullet onto the planter when it was like 4 or 3 seconds on the clock, that could have been done and dusted. That could have been Orgless 5's round, but very tight affair in that one, and God Particles, they make it 5th for themselves.
Can I point out one thing though? Both the showstoppers missed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not something
I thought that Skargout would actually hit his showstopper onto that lockdown, but then that didn't happen. Skargout and Chevy both get their first frags. They don't miss shots of their gun so far. It's been raised by the barrier wall. Godvexy is in position with the Sheriff, but nah. It's a little too much. It's a little too much for him. Sort of an eco round, you can't really expect much. Team Orgless 5, they're still suffering from that economic loss so far. At least they've got 1 frag for themselves. Keeping the opposition's economy humble would be their first objective in the eco rounds. And I think they're en route in doing that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like God Particles have way too much money. Just barely a couple of 100 credits on them. Knight Rider and Logis are the only ones who have money. They can probably drop a nice weapon to their teammates Skargout the next round. But when Blackhawk goes and does cheeky stuff like this, even Knight Rider won't be able to carry his gun forward. So they do save 3 weapons. It's fine, but at least they won't be rolling in money, right? They won't have too much to spare. The max that they can afford is an extra operator next round. But hey, let's be honest, there's no need to op. in split on the attacking side. So just save up that money, purchase a Vandal with it the next round, and just be done with it. I have to point out this is yet again another important round for the side of Orgless 5. If they lose this one, they're gonna be broke again. And that's what happens when you're on max loss bonus. You're just surviving round to round, paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah. Exactly, but it's also very interesting to know that God Particles, unlike the last game, this time they're actually playing very unpredictably. Like you can't really understand, for Orgless 5 for that matter, they can't really understand where they're gonna pop up from. One guy just slips by, another guy shoots him in the head. God Vexy comes back, stabilizes team for a bit, but that's about it. 3v4 so far, and the attacking team have a massive advantage in this round.
Oof, at least they find out nobody's coming towards mid, so now they can focus all their attention towards the peace side, and they don't even need to do that. They can just easily play for the retake. The smoke's blocking the vision, so when the defenders come rolling through, they're gonna have to fit them all at once. Flash available once again in a couple of seconds. Cosmic Divide, it's there on the other side of the spike, and it does give them a little bit more room to fight, but with the operator getting through that Cosmic Divide can be a little risky, so it's most likely gonna be a save. God Particles take away this round too. And with that, they're at 7. They've taken the lead in this half already.
Absolutely. Like the one guy that slipped through right under the nose of, I believe it was Hacker, right? That was devastating because he got control of Heavens. There was another guy who was popping in through the smoke who took down Hacker in the process. That basically was the site blown open.
Yeah, a White Horse slipped by, and I think it was... I don't remember who killed him, but it was such a bait and switch. Scargod did it, right? So White Horse goes towards the left-hand side in the site itself. And you can see Hacker, he tries to pursue him. He sees him for a split second. All his teammates see him on the minimap. And then the moment he tries to follow up, Scargod just peeks out. And at that very moment, Hacker is not looking towards that nebula. So it's an easy frag for
One lapse in
Scargod.
concentration.
I know, for just a
One smoke.
millisecond. I swear, it's so annoying when that happens to you. Like, you could be holding an angle for 20 whole seconds, and the moment you peek back, someone peeks that angle, and now all of a sudden you've lost your advantage.
Absolutely, God Particles. They've got one good ultimate, that is going to be the null command. If they activate it, I think they can facilitate a push and secure this round for themselves. For Orgless 5, this is tough times because the last map they were conditioned to winning 11-1. This one, they don't really have any sort of round.
The
Do they
turret
have the
would detect
mental
him.
fortitude? Absolutely not, but there is one guy in screens, right? He's actually moved up towards screen, so yeah, for the KJ, this is bad news, and so is for Hacker because there is no awareness so far. Scargod is gonna find Blackhawk first, is gonna find Wimp next, and now he's gonna find Hacker. No, really, Hacker puts him to his bed, but it's a 3v4 right now, and the attackers once again, they have their complete side for themselves.
And they've got the Viper's Spit, so this is nearly impossible to retake now. One little chink in the armor, and they rip it apart, sneaking in through the vents. And that's the thing. Up until now, Team Orgless 5 have never given up mid-link. The one round where they don't decide to reinforce it is when they get completely destroyed. Now this retake looks nearly impossible. White Horse peeks out. It's still a 3v3. Doesn't give them any advantage whatsoever. Time is ticking and they need to get inside this toxic green city and take down the players. If Logista goes down, that could be the round secured, but Sai with an AWP inside Viper's Pit is... he's got no potential. Just get away from that region. Knight Rider looking to die so that he doesn't get the penalty. It's completely fine. Hey, this was a lovely round from the side of God Particles. Like, all throughout the freeze times, I've been saying that the only thing working in the favor of Orgless 5 is that they haven't given up mid control. And the one round where they don't control mid is when this man just sneaks into the vents region and gets it.
Exactly, like those two kills were the foundation for this round. Once again, 2-8. And for Orgless 5, like what can they do right now? For a fair share of time, they kind of struggled with economy. They had to go through multiple ecos. Right now, they're surviving on lost bonuses, just like you mentioned. They've got the guns, but not really all that much utility. We have this, a null command, but Shivi is the only one guy who is trying to capitalize on the back of it. The gravity well is going to push him back. Blackhawk will find the frag, but that's okay because the site is completely open on the B side, and Scargod is going to take down Sai. Yes, perfect. Wimp, though, finally confirms the frag on a Shivi. even though that was a really nice bait, I feel like they've got the side for themselves. This retake should be very difficult, but they've got 4 players up and running.
Spike planted.
Yeah, and the 4
also on
players,
footsteps.
never mind. A revival comes through. This table that turned. It's still a 4 versus 3, but now in the favor of the attackers. Wimp instantly neutralizes the situation. There's so much standing in their way. If they get through the snake bite, they have to go through the nebula. And if that doesn't happen, then they have to go through the slow field. Everything being dumped in, and time is taken away. I don't know if this is still possible. A little bit of a team flash for the guy in heavens, but they're trying to beat through. God, Vexy must break this crossfire, and they haven't checked for Logista just yet. Excuse me, sir. He must have given away a sound cue. How did they not hear him? And it doesn't matter if Logista dies. He gets all 3 style frags. But even if he died over there, it would have been completely fine. They would have been able to win the round
Last
anyway.
round in the half.
How did they not hear him? I thought he gave away a sound cue while stepping down.
I have no idea. I have no idea. Trust me, I have no idea. This was insane, right? The fact that he didn't fire right up from the get-go, waited for his time, got all the 3 kills for himself. This was a style moment for Logista, and once again reinsuring that God Particles, for them, this is their half, and there is nothing that is taking it away from them. You saw the beating that they took in the first map, right? It was 11-1. Right now, they're just returning the favor.
Yeah, but if this happens to be a 9-3 game, then a comeback might be on our hands. I mean, I am a bit superstitious that way, so Black Hawk already starting things off. It's just so unfortunate that in the last round of this half, Team Orgless 5 don't have proper weaponry. There's only 1 Vandal available on Wimp. Everyone else with either Spectres or Sheriffs. Zai has an op. And Orgless 5 have 4 ultimates. 2 of them are the Lockdown and Cosmic, which is perfect for retake. But the one person who can change things is Blackhawk. He still has a Showstopper.
Nice. Second frag for this team. Team Orgless 5, they're looking to make it work, but as soon as I say that, Whitehorse actually gets a kill. Saito, with his knives, actually finds Whitehorse. There's just one guy who's available, who is alive right now, and that is going to be Shivy. This eco round actually turned around on her face for Team Orgless 5, even though Shivy can actually clutch it out. I don't think it's realistically possible as Blackhawk shoots him in the back of his head or the back of his chest. I don't really know.
Switching sides.
9-3 though. Tell me something, Salty. Do you believe in superstitions?
I believe. I believe with all my heart. Like, that is something which is very real, not just in our scene, but also internationally as well. 9-3 is a scoreline which you can always like pull back. That is a universal fact.
We're missing universe today, aren't we, today? Either way, with 9-3, the only thing that the defenders need to do is just bloody hold on. I mean, Orgless 5 have a very different approach from God Particles when it comes to the attacking side. Unlike them, they don't believe in defaults all that much. They believe in brute force, speed, and momentum. And it's all gonna be channeled as they move into the ace side. But Knight Rider, he's channeling his inner demon, slaying everybody, making sure that nobody can even have a say in this game. The turret through the cloud burst, it's a bit weird, but there's so much to say over here. I mean, there's a snake bite and the pain chills as well. The floor is turning into lava, and Team Orgless 5 are just taking so much utility damage. I don't even need to mention the number of players that are heading in their direction. Just all the utility, keeping them at bay, and then what did God Particles do to just mow them down like that?
That was quick. Like, first of all, that literally was like, all right, guys, shop's closed. Come tomorrow. Knight Rider. They sort of predicted the approach, but they sort of thought that, all right, the read is going to be like, they're going to come A. And they had the utility to kind of stop that impending push. The one thing which you do to Orgless 5, just exploit their speed in attack. And in doing so, the snake bites, the barrier orbs, the ice orbs, all of these just play so much work. They do so much heavy lifting because the guys are slowed down, they're taking damage, there's cloud burst, there's so much happening, just like you mentioned. And all of these guys from God Particles, what do? They take turns, they peek out, and they get kills, right? The right clicks, left clicks, whatever it is that is working for them. Knight Rider, for that fact, he just did so much damage right up the get-go with the barrier orb going up high and then just falling down and right-clicking 2 players to oblivion. That was basically it. That was easy for him, but he did so much damage, preventing that entry into site. And as soon as that happened, the rest of God Particles, they had the time to come back, deploy in their snake bites, deploy in the nebulas and the slow orbs and everything. And that was just perfectly executed. God Particles did so much heavy lifting. They had that one win condition, right, to not give away the pistol run, and they did that so well.
ScarGod getting rescued by that barrier orb. But Shivy gets spotted by Sai. A little pixel of his body visible, and Sai punishes. 4 versus 4. Situation still favors the attackers, but Logista brings it back. He became vulnerable the moment his feet touched that goo, but that's all that he can do for now. Spike's still in their control, so that's nice. But Wentz control relinquished by the side of God Particles might make things dicey. That's why you can see they're playing so passively towards the defender spawn. Only Knight Rider present over here, and he will be dealt with too, with swiftness. Nothing to say over here by ScarGod and Logista as they are considering whether they should even go for this or save. They're gonna try. If they get a pick, then they're gonna continue. But Logista on 20 HP, he's got a foot in the grave already.
Yeah, he's gonna take down Hacker though. That was nice. This is 2v2. This is doable so far. Even though their HP is not in their favor, I feel they can actually make it not really Wimp. Finds ScarGod and now Logista on 20 HP. Just like you mentioned, needs to pull 2 back for his team. This is too much to ask for, isn't it?
Yeah, a bit too much. Hey, but they've still got plenty of rounds. This could very well be the start of a comeback for the side of Team Orgless 5, but let's be honest, they still can't count themselves out of danger. When God Particles have nothing to lose, when they are on an eco, you know for a fact that they're going to do something wacky. And now that they're on the defense, they might even stack, they might even rush, you can never know. If they go for one of those regular hold rounds, then I think Team Orgless 5 will be very happy because they're doing that. And they're ready for all sort of contingencies.
Absolutely. This looks like a full-blown push. Flash comes in. Sai wants to take the first contact.
What?
One random spray, and there you have your prey for yourself. Sprays and bullets all over the field. Shivy tries to peek out. Oh my god, the pistol is doing a lot of work, but then God Vexy brings it back. Once again, pistol action for you. This is funny, right? Memes all over. This should be a highlight read for us. But anyway, 1v3 so far, Knight Rider with the classic.
A lot of weapons dropped over there in the B main region, but if he's even allowed to get to that far, that is. It's funny that even the players are laughing about that pistol play.
Look at this, right? Sai straight through the smoke, goes absolutely brr, right? That meme fits well here. And then comes a flash, Shivy with a very messy affair with the pistol. You saw what God Vexy did, right? He was just basically jumping around. He was 316 trying to hit shots. He was completely flashed. But well, we've got one funny moment at least.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure
some say the casters aren't funny, but the players are.
Bro, our life is a joke. What do you say? You know, one thing we need to get rid of in 2022 is self-appreciating humor, and that's gonna start with me. But Blackhawk, he gets rid of Knight Rider. And Knight Rider, you saw how he was playing around with the barrier orb in the pistol round, right? He tried to go for something similar this time, but it didn't work. The hold from Orgless 5 is impeccable.
Spike down.
But as soon as I say that, they lose the spike. Caster's Curse, maybe? And now the spike is inside the Viper's pit. How do you retrieve this now? This could be possible if Sai is able to do something. Look at his position. He's in defender spawn.
Yeah, but it can turn a little dicey because look at this. White Horse and Logista, both of them are inside this Viper's pit. Blackhawk as well as Sky, if they try and make their entry into this, I think at least one guy would definitely go down, and that is not something which they can afford. Nice Snakebite takes in a lot of damage. Just trying to buy time, right? Even Sai is here. So 3 players trying to make their entry into the Viper's pit, trying to check all the angles. But even if they do so, this is very, very risky.
Logista was solo. What?
But White Horse!
Bro, he just galloped all over them, didn't he? I mean, Logista was low on health, so a single nade from Blackhawk would have killed him anyway. That was the win condition for Orgless 5. But who on earth
BYD
thought
fam.
that White Horse
Going
will
to
pull off
Astral
something
to
like
do
that?
them
And
Astral
it's not like they
Guardian
lined
things
up for him. No, he killed Sai
was
towards the top of mid first, and
exactly.
then he moved in to mow the players, and Sue was down.
right there.
Dude, that was a bulldozer moment because he was like, "All right, guys, I'm gonna take you down and I'm gonna crush you." That was a crushing moment, but got particles. They bring it back 11th round. It was really, really important for them. Orgless 5, I'm not really sure what the economic condition is so far, but it definitely isn't good. Just right in front of him, Scar got through the cloud burst. Sai is gonna regret that. This basically means that this is a 4v5 push right now, especially with not a lot of good weaponry in their possession. No, wait, they have good weaponry in their possession. They've got Vandals and Phantoms as well as Hard Shields. Fim takes Kargot down, at least brings one back. This is very, very dicey. Blackhawk trying to be very aggressive. Gets one, but immediately gets straight out. This is a trade fest so far. Ladies and gentlemen, find your guns because even you can participate. God Vex, he takes down White Horse. There is a lockdown that has been invested. Seekers have been invested as well. Trying to buy as much space as possible. Logista will try and dodge that, but his snake bite can do a lot of heavy lifting. I don't think so because it's not in position.
Yeah.
Eventually, the spike will be planted.
The snakebite was there to deny the plant towards the default location, but then they can always adjust by planting out in the open. And this plant helps people defend from B main as well. Knight Rider, though, has denied B main. He's just trying to create a distraction so that his teammate Viper can come in from above. But everyone knows everybody's position. Now, how do you make this one work? Because it's a bit of a crossfire for the side of Orgless 5, and the players of God Particles have no trading potential. Logista fighting Rexy all by himself, and double peek by Hacker. Everything is perfect for the side of Team Orgless 5 in this round, but they still have a long way to go, and not too many rounds left to spare.
Exactly. This is just like boxers just going jab and receiving a jab, going for a jab, receiving a jab on their face. At this point, one boxer is quite low on HP, and that is going to be Orgless 5 because they're basically like 2 rounds away from losing this map anyway. If this trend continues, if this share of rounds between these two teams continues, I don't really think Orgless 5 won that. For them, they need to start getting momentum in this game, and this is probably the first time I haven't seen Split being not a momentum-based game. It's like both the teams are getting their fair share of good plays and bad plays. They're succeeding a good play with a couple of bad plays, and that basically gives away the advantage they build up for.
Yeah, nobody's able to snowball. Everyone's just playing jab for jab, hit for hit. And this time it's Wimp who hits first. Sai's already inside the B's side. I mean, all of God Particles is just focusing on mid. If Team God Particles continue this approach, then they will most likely run into the spike carrier. But now he's hightailing towards the side. Underhand flash, and Wimp gets taken down. But what good can Shivi do with just one Phantom? He's better off saving it.
That may be able to. Here it comes, Blackhawk from behind, and there's the Jet as well. This was too dominating, but of course Orgless 5, they managed well. I love that approach coming in from God Particles. They didn't really have the economy to fight this. They try and go all in mid, but the way Orgless kind of restructured their approach, they kind of held back and went for kills and trying to finish off players one by one. That was really good. 7 and 11 the score line. It looks very respectable from the side of Orgless 5 because this is not like a huge difference considering that we went into the second half at 9-3. But yeah,
only in the last 2 rounds has the Viper put down the toxin screen on mid, and this has never happened before. This is creating problems for the side of Orgless 5 to take mid, but this is what happens when you challenge that Viper wall and you try to move in. A couple of players going down in mid, couple going down in B main. What do Orgless 5 have to show for it? No map control and no information. This is a gone cause unless they can at least get a plant. That will help them retain some money in the next round, but I don't think even that's going to happen. God Particles will most likely get to map point in this one.
Yeah. I mean, both players in Garage at this point, they can't even turn back because they still have time though. But I mean, with 5 players still alive on the other camp, you basically know that every single nooks and cranny has been checked and guarded. They're still trying to approach mid though. That is quite a very courageous approach. But at this point, it definitely wouldn't work. Look at that. There is Scargod in position, and even if he gets taken down, there is Knight Rider as well. So there are double layers of security in every single facet of entry.
Yeah,
30
and
seconds left.
the biggest security factor is this Viper utility on mid, just delaying them so much. Down to the last 20 seconds, the best that Orgless 5 can do right now is just die so that they don't get an economic penalty in the next round. And
Peek
at least
out.
maybe go
No,
down
they
swinging.
don't.
10 seconds left.
I mean,
Hey, if they can
they
save
cannot
the
show a
weapons,
big
that's good, but I don't think they're going to be allowed to do that either. Oh, they are. They're not getting contested. Okay.
But this is so confusing, right? First of all, what God Particles, they spot a pixel, right? They knew that, okay, there's a guy there. And they didn't really want to push up because they don't want to lose their own weapons.
Yeah.
They're allowed to save their weapons as well. And eventually, it just comes down to match point. It was a very comical end to the penultimate round, probably a penultimate round. But this one, we have some sort of weaponry tool set up for us. Knight Rider is supposedly on a light shield. I think he's going to buy further. But the entirety of Orgless 5, they've got weapons and shields to work with. Can they hold on to this game? Can they make it a 2-0, or is it obviously going to be a 1-1, which has a higher chance of happening? Flashes come through, and updraft Sai wants to clear a lot more space for his team. Does do it. Knight Rider has been completely destroyed.
And this was important because Knight Rider had the resurrection available too. Getting rid of this player makes sure that it stays a 5 versus 4 and nobody comes back from the dead. Lockdown committed towards the end of the site, but the defenders have engulfed them in every direction. There's no exit avenues available for the side of the attackers. No post-plant positions to hold. They will most likely have to just go for crossfires, but Whitehorse getting detained, and one more player as well. And they're just losing their lives. Logista will be happy to just walk away with his weapon, but does Blackhawk let him do so? He's not in the right direction. No problem. Absolutely no problem. At least they keep 3 guns alive, which is incredible. They now have to play all in. They need to go for the overtime. If not, then we're going into Haven, a map which could be anyone's game. There's no guarantee about who's going to win Haven, but right now there is a small guarantee that the defenders can walk away with this one. The only thing
Exactly.
that Team Orgless 5 can do is go for a brute force approach and deal with Knight Rider's barrier orb right at the beginning. You know, at the start of the match, it's funny, we thought that the Sage will wall mid every turn, but in fact, it's the Viper who's doing that instead.
Exactly right. It's a reversal of role, because initially the Viper used to be pulling off this role. Knight Rider, very wise wall over there. It has been broken by Sai, and as soon as his bullets in his chamber kind of finishes, Knight Rider shoots him in the head. Good stuff right there, but Hacker actually brings it back. Knight Rider has given his life away. 4v4 right now. Even the brute force didn't really work in because the Sage did its job. Chevy is in position as well. He doesn't really have the knife, but he at least has some information that the 4 guys are still holding this region. Now, what can Orgless 5 orchestrate? They really want to go in, but they're also adamant enough of not falling back. Now, this can be a problem for them.
Take a look at what Whitehorse is doing. He's already inside the attacking spawn.
Yeah,
This is going to
exactly.
confirm to the players of God Particles that this will be indeed an A hit, and that, you know, God Particles, they can continue doing what they're doing. Nobody from the side of Orgless 5 is moving towards the beast side,
timing.
and they know it. They don't check Whitehorse. Here comes the showstopper, but I think it's a bit irrelevant right now because the spike might be dropped. It is collected once again, but they've lost their timing window. Blackhawk getting uprooted off his feet. Shivy with the trades, sprays down 2 people. And this is it. There isn't much that the Killjoy can do, but the Captain Wimp has to be careful about Logista behind him, and he isn't.
Defenders
That's
win.
the end of things, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to Haven.
We definitely are, and of course there are so many questions on Haven that are left unanswered, but we definitely will answer them when time comes. But look at this round, right? This round became a lot more sweatier than we expected it to be, right? And especially that happened because Whitehorse, we thought that Whitehorse is going to sweep them all up in their feet, and even this kind of ultimate miss, but all of that kind of considered, Team God Particles had never really lost their footing. They had it controlled, especially on the back of that Logista backstab. That kind of confirmed everything for them. And Wimp, of course, just like you mentioned here, just too much to deal with. Like Chevy in front, Logista behind, and yeah, it was a little too much for him.
Yeah, you really can't you can't be expected to pull off a clutch like that when you don't even have the information necessary to pull it off. God Particles, though, for the first time, they, you know, play so aggressively that they push out of B main. The only time we've seen them do so before is when they're either stacking the B side, so there's 3 people ready to fight in B main, or they don't do it at all. But this time, it's just Whitehorse. He pushes out, sees nobody over there, and gets back in time and kills the most important player of them all. Kills the spike carrier. If he killed anyone else, then maybe the pace of the execute wouldn't have been spoiled and that showstopper could have carried them into the site, but it did not. And killing the crucial player is what slowed them down. Let's take a look at the highlights because this game had quite a few of them. I love the way how Team Orgless 5 was playing in the first few rounds, but that hope was quickly taken away.
Yep, absolutely. Like Orgless 5, of course, the approach would be very aggressive. I didn't really see the initial rounds because I was DC'd, of course. But after I came back, it was a very dicey affair. It was between God Particles and Orgless 5, and momentum was shifting every other round. I did see some good takes coming in from Orgless 5. They did get some nice rounds for themselves, especially this one where Sai got a triple kill for himself. But even then, like Shivi had that information, but he was just too much overwhelmed by the two players present.
Phew. And you can see how differently God Particles are approaching this game on their attacking side as compared to their defense. On the
Exactly.
attacking side, God Particles split up quite a lot, mostly moving towards A main and B main, and they weren't paying a lot of attention towards mid in the first few rounds of the first half. But then there's gonna be this one round where Scargod moves in from the vent room and he backstabs them, kind of splitting the map in half, which is exactly why it's called
Mhm.
split in the first place. And Oculus 5 were doing a good job of taking mid control. But the one round where they lose their concentration, it results in them getting completely dumpstered. And then even this round
Oh,
was such an unfortunate ending, right? They didn't check for Logista. And it was such
I
a galaxy brain maneuver because even though Logista was inside that corner, Whitehorse was there as well. And because they killed the other guys first, they thought nobody would be stupid enough to keep two players in the same spot. So the moment the first player died, they thought that's it. That's the end of the area. Nobody else is present over there.
Exactly, and Logista was also like very careful in not giving up sound cues over there. He actually
Yeah.
did, so that was interesting. But this round was something like, of course, we saw Logista sort of try to save, but then eventually was taken down. And this was one of the rounds where Orgless 5 they looked dominant. Like when it was 4-10, we thought that all right, this might be the start of a comeback, and they did so. Like it was sort of 7-11 to a point. These rounds were really confusing, right? Flashes coming in, players doing 360s, funny moments here and there. Look at this, look at this. What has got particle got Vexida? He's just jumping around, trying to find his target. He's like blindfolded action. Something which you might see on reality shows, but this is Valorant, ladies and gentlemen.
The
He
best
will
reality show of
suffer.
them all.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Uh, see, God Particles also, when they were on the defensive side, they were such a nuisance to deal with. Remember that one round where August 5 dropped the spike and Logista just puts a wiper pit over it? Logista was always very
Mm.
easy to kill because he was very low on health. A single nade being chucked in his general direction would have ended him. But then Whitehorse with this beautiful triple. And it's not even like they lined up for him. No, he had to manually go there and spray them down. What a performance from Whitehorse, just stepping up at the right time. And God Particles also, like when they were in the defense, I have to point out a couple of things. The Sage was not walling mid. Knight Rider was in fact spamming that wall towards the A side, just reducing the pace of the round for Orcus 5 every time. And the Viper utility was not being used on mid all the time. It wasn't being used in the first few rounds of that half. It started being put in after the fourth round. So this wall that you're seeing Wimp struggle with, it wasn't always there. And that was probably what made Team God Particles a bit more comfortable with mid because that was the only thing working for them. And when you take that away, you've taken away the lifeline that Team Octus 5 were holding as a crutch.
Yeah, and I really thought that this would be like the last round would be the penultimate round, and it actually was. There was nothing which Logista could do at this point. Wait, what? Nah, this was what actually won by Team Orgless 5. I'm actually going blind so far, but
Mhm.
yeah, this was the last round. Yeah, Blackhawk just trying to duel it, and like okay, wait. Let's just face it. I'm kind of a little brain farting at this point. But anyway, it doesn't matter because Wim was sort of very overwhelmed in the last round.
Hmm.
Chevy from the front, and the other guy coming in from behind, Logista. What a performance it has been from God Particles and Orgless. 5. Both the teams sort of played really well. 13-8 is a very close scoreline, at least compared to Ascent. But Scargod and Blackhawk, both the raises on MVPs. What do you have to say about it, Crips?
I mean, I would have never expected Blackhawk to pick up a raise in the first place. I thought he's going to go for the Astra as usual and help his team out, but instead he put Hacker on that role. Now, while Hacker was not that effective, I was just having the time of my life watching Blackhawk fly around with that satchel. I had no idea the man was this smooth.
Absolutely. And with that said and done, I feel like we are well set up for Haven because of 1-1 in this series. I thought that God Particles versus Orgless 5 could be a quick 2-0 considering that God Particles have that advantage of sticking together for a longer time, but at least they have that one map which is needed to actually go in Haven. The loss on the map of Ascent, they should forget it so far. And right now, even they had a dominant first half. So I think that both the teams have equal footing in this best of 3 series. I have no idea who's going to win it, but I guess we'll find it just after a very short break. Ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. We're going to come back.
the legends of memory and storage. Crucial brings you the ultimate performance in gaming. Legendary products. Precision engineered. For speed and stability. Crucial ballistics. From the legends of memory and storage.
Welcome back to LG Ultragear presents the Esports Club Gauntlet Season 4, powered by Crucial, and our apparel partner is 656. You guys are watching Team Orgless 5 go up against God Particles. Both the teams have won one map each. We had Ascent going in the favor of Orgless 5 in a pretty convincing fashion. And then God Particles put up a stellar attacking half in Split. Now we're moving into Haven. Supposedly neutral grounds for both these teams, but it does require quite a lot of coordination. I wonder if August 5 will be able to pull that off with a new player. Wait, two new players in the mix. This will
Hmm.
definitely be difficult for them, and God Particles, being the team who have stuck together for a lot longer, will be able to establish their coordination a lot better on a map like Haven, which is more strategically oriented as compared to more puggish maps like Ascent and Split.
Exactly. The best thing which works in their favor is that on the map of Split, I love their attacking approach, right? They had a 93 half with multiple fakes. They had the good coverage. They had good real estate working in for them. On the map of Haven, your map control and your real estate control makes the most sense and helps you orchestrate that attack. And funnily enough, God Particles, they are on the attacking side. They're starting on attack on the map of Haven, which should give them, on paper, the lead, sort of which with which they can actually win this game so far. I wonder if Oculus 5 and their defensive strengths have anything which can actually stop Team God Particle so far. But considering the map that we just saw, that was Split, I think God Particle should have the edge and at the start of this game, which should give them the momentum to work with.
I think a lot of it is going to come down to how these guys play in the first segment of the round. Like,
Exactly.
we have August 5 who is playing for picks. And then on the other hand, we have God Particles who are doing anything to give to not give away the picks. I mean, God Particles would much rather sacrifice map control rather than give up their members. And if they feel like they're having trouble holding on to a particular area, if they're starting on the defensive side, then they would much rather just give up the area rather than give up the man advantage and both the area as well. But luckily for them, they're starting on the attacking side, and Orgless 5 is the one on defense. Now, in Ascent, we established that Orgless 5 on the defensive side was winning because they were rotating preemptively, and also because
Yeah.
there was not too much variety in the attack patterns of God Particles, but we don't talk about that. If they're able to find a way to keep reinventing themselves and keep Orgless 5 at their feet, not let them get comfortable, then I think God Particles have a realistic chance of winning this game. But for that, their strat book needs to be deep up, it needs to have a lot of pages, and they need to make sure that they flick through the pages quickly enough that Orgless 5 don't read it.
Exactly. And also on the defensive side of things, like we saw certain things from God Particles which actually helped them secure the map for themselves, right? There were continuous backstabs. They were trying to kind of pinch the attacking team from two sides. We saw one such incident where White Horse completely wrapped around the team from behind. And there was Logesta who was going in from constant backstabs. Like even if you leave mid and even if Orgless 5 actually goes in for the defaults in their attacking half of things, I feel like there is God Particles with certain answers which Orgless 5 have no business dealing with. So considering all of that, we are sort of establishing the picture where God Particles have an edge on the map of Ascent against the side of Orgless 5. But then we all know, right, Orgless 5 have that attacking depth and that, what I would say, the firepower to actually nail down God Particles in any particular round. If you think of Sai has been on song on the map, on the agent chat, he has been doing a lot of good work. I think on the map of Haven as well, he's going to play the primary duelist, and maybe, just maybe, we can see the double initiator coming back as well, because this is the larger map here, Crips, and Haven does require double duelist from you.
I mean, I wouldn't be completely against a double duelist, but one of them has to be a jet. What's the other one going to be? Probably like a flashing character, let's say something like a radar. You could have that. I mean, it's not completely against the rules, but I most likely think it's going to be a double initiator instead. Let's jump into the game, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see what agents these guys are going to pick up. Knight Rider insta locking jet. Oh, by the way, just like fun fact, Valorant is getting rid of the whole insta lock feature. They're adding something so that you can't do it.
Mumbai servers, what are you gonna do? I'm pretty sure a lot among the audience will be like, wait, you can't install lock anymore? I need to uninstall Valorant. Anyway, speaking of agent selection right now, Knight Rider on the Jet, White Horse on Astra, Logesta is actually picking up the Cypher right now. Now, Scargod and Shivi, of course, they're gonna play double initiator. Just depends which agent which you want to pick. Like, I love the Breach personally on this map. On the other side, look at this, Crips. Hacker is now on the Breach. He's played a Sentinel. He's played, what agent did he play last one? I guess he played the Astra, and now he's playing the Breach. So this guy is literally
doing
as
everything.
versatile as it. He literally is doing everything, right? Blackhawk is back on the Astra, something which I love. Sai is playing the Chet. Now we have got Vexy on the Sova. So it is a double initiator composition, a Breach and a Sova, and a Sky and a Sova. We have talked about both the composition and how you can use them both, but I personally love the Breach and a Sova composition more.
Yeah, the breach really helps set up someone like Sai for a lot of success. And considering how aggressively Sai plays on Haven, I think that breach is either going to make his game or break his game. Of course, when he had his older teammates, the whole breach flash and dash combination becomes a lot easier to pull off. But now he's going to have to establish that rapport with Hacker. And of course, like they're sitting right next to each other. You can see a little bit of Sai's red shirt in Hacker's camera. But it's still a bit difficult, right? Because up until this time, Hacker was standing behind them as their manager. Now he's sitting with them.
Yeah, true that. For God Particles. So I feel like for them, this is important. This is an important game. They really want to continue their run as victors in this championship in Gauntlet Season 4 and kind of try and keep a clean sheet as long as possible, because of course we know that defeats are going to come your way. Just try and have a good start to the tournament, and for them this map is going to be really important. This is sort of one of their stronger maps as well. Haven is sort of God Particles map.
instantly giving up the B side. The Cypher cam on C, spots nobody. Aggressive peaks on A, spot nobody. They know for a fact that this is going to be a B hit, and Orgless are comfortable giving this area up. Now with Sai on the back lines, they have no postman positions to hide inside, so that's why they are brute forcing towards C-Link instead, so that they get some semblance of map control. The dash in the wrong direction into Godvexi's face. It's still a 3 versus 3. Now it's up to Blackhawk to give them some cover. They can start tapping the spike already. God, Particles have no choice but to hopefully spam the smoke and connect a couple of hits, but ScarGod goes inside to personally execute Hacker. Still on the backlines. They know where he is, but can they deal with him? No, cannot. There's a reason there's God in his name.
This man went in from garage while the rest of the players were just all distractions. Shivy and others were just spawn in his story, and he was playing a game of chess, came in from behind like a minister and just finished him off like a clutch minister. This is why I love ScarGod, but his play on Sky was really good. Look at this. They start off well. God Particles get their first round victory, should get their automatic second as well. And Team Orgless 5 aren't really given a moment to settle into this game, right? Keep up the pressure, pile up the pressure right from the get-go. This is good strategy from God Particles.
Whoa. Very aggressive from Sai. Instantly gets punished, but at least he gives a lot of information to his team. Spots out so many of them. They know for a fact it's going to be an A hit, but what do God Particles do about it? It's a 3-man stack. Spike down. Logista has to dig it out of the sewers, and he's retrieved it. Slowing everyone down with the Spectre, making it look so easy. Well, I mean, this was to be expected, right? God Particles had the superior weaponry, so
yeah,
it's natural that Orgless 5 don't win this. But now they have superior weaponry. Can Orgless 5 finally mount up a defense? Or will they crumble once again to the fast-paced tactics of God Particles?
I mean, it's been fast-paced so far. First round B, second round A, it has been fast-paced, but I think from this round onwards, God Particles should take a different approach, try and gather more information, because of course they have the utility to do so. They've got the recon dart, they've got the dog as well, the trailblazer. Both of them tandem, I feel like they can actually make it work. Sai, first one,
God.
the second one as well. Yes, Nias, you are perfect. That was a third one as well. This man is mowing everybody down with a vandal. A fourth, yes, go for the ace. Sai is on a roll so far, but Godvex snatches it away from him, finding the final frag. But that's okay because Team Orgless 5 will be so happy. A little given away by God Particles. Not really happy the way they pulled this round off, but still, taking nothing away from Sai.
Bro, you cannot take anything away from him. He was so committed to this fight. In fact, he was in a position where if he dashes back even slightly towards the wrong angle, he's gonna dash into a wall and get stopped in his tracks. He can't fall back to safety completely. And he was not even like hugging a wall or getting ready to get back into cover. No, he was way out in the open. This time, being way out in the open does lead to his death, but it's instantly traded away by Hacker. Blackhawk also finding kills through the smoke, doing what he does best. It doesn't matter if it's a Nebula or the Cyber Cage. He's gonna go through it nonetheless. And Shivy, he does liberate the pressure on A side quite a bit, but because the spike was previously dropped on C, that's why God Particles have gone to A and Orgless 5 have not rotated yet. Because they still think that the spike is lingering somewhere towards the garage or the C region. But now that they hear it, everything has been confirmed. The aftershock won't do much, neither will the fault line. But hey, I guess Orgless 5 can still regroup and then retake together. They have Wimp coming in from the back lines, killing the Knight Rider already. And now he knows nobody's towards long. So this last guy must be inside the sewers. But he's wrong. Blackhawk in a 1v2, spots out one player under heaven, but best a second. There he is. Whitehorse peeks from behind, just in the nick of time.
Perfect execution. Once again, just like you mentioned, they dropped the spike, they lost a few players, but even then, Orgless 5, they're being a little too rusty at this point because Sai constantly trying to keep up the pressure and trying to liberate them off it. He's pushing out way too much. Look at this, he's going out in the open, trying to get those frags for himself, established man advantage, but it's not working his favor. And that is something which he can possibly check. He's going to be monumental in those retake situations. The Jet with his abilities can get so much real estate covered and also help the team in facilitating and getting that side back for themselves. Let's just see if he peeks out once again or not.
Bit of a freeze time to deal with some tech issues, but we'll be going live with the round once more. Don't worry. Up until now, Team God Particles have tried quite a lot of things. I mean, the pistol round was a B push. Then they had a little flirtation with the A side, 2 rounds. They even tried going towards the C side and Garage for a bit. Obviously, they moved away from that region and went towards A again as a rotation. But it just tells you that God Particles have a lot of plans and they do not mind deploying them. The only round that God Particles lost was the one where Sai popped off like an absolute demon.
Yeah, exactly. And that is one of the problems. That is definitely a problem for Orgless 5 to deal with, because the rest of the players, or rather the entire team and their approach, should be coherent. Sai, completely destroyed by Nitrider, one skin completely disrespecting the recon dart. Look at this. He's almost gotten information where God Vexy is, and they're falling back. Man advantage established. They're trying to make this happen at the B side. The camera sort of reveals a little bit of what's happening. Wimp will come back into the side, but look at this. Chevy is going for a plant, even though he knows the site has not been clear. This is going to be risky. Seekers does come in as an insurance policy, but even then, that is not going to work. The ultimate takes down another Sova. God Vexy really successful there. Now they're trying to hit the C side.
Oh, but they're just so paranoid about a trap fire being placed over there. They see the one-way cyber cages and they are very careful, clearing every place methodically. But all this utility is just making the spike plant so problematic for God Particles. First, it was the Hunter's Fury to deny the plant at B. Now the fault line and the Aftershock to push the players away from the planting box. They force them straight into the crosshairs of Hacker. And Blackhawk is the one who comes in to secure the final few frags. Amazing stuff by Orgless 5 over here. It really shows how bravely they were ready to fight, because at one point the players of God Particles had placed a one-way smoke on top of the C-linked region. But does Wimp respect it? No. Wimp peeks out despite it, and he was not punished. What's even funnier is that even when they knew that Wimp is in backside, God Particles tried to plant on B, thinking there's nothing that Wimp can do. We'll cover you. But you can't cover your teammates from a bloody laser beam of the Sova. Neither can you cover them from the Aftershock. So all of that just goes to waste. Sai has been tagged. Pray to God he doesn't end up in a body bag, because Nitrider is already in the site. Now, how does Sai deal with this? Oh, he just presses mouse 1 to deal with it. Instantly traded by Scar God, but God Vex, he's so precise. He strikes twice, and now it's just a 3v2. Whitehorse with even better shots. Hacker, he hasn't gone checked, and he just needs 1 bullet to kill Whitehorse. The new player of the team finally stepping up, and the breach gives them the victory.
Absolutely, and it's probably not the first time he has stepped up. He has done it time and time again. This was the first 1v2 clutch which he actually pulled off, but 3-3, this actually becomes even Steven so far, because Orgless 5, they've been trying different things, but the fact that they won that very sweaty round on towards B and C actually gave them a lot of confidence, because they didn't really have to fight, right? The utility did all the heavy lifting, and right now they're confident that the utility game is on point, their gun game is on point, and Sai and others, they're also fragging. So this is proper package. Once again, what do they try and do? They just try and hold back and try and let God Particles do all the talking. This is sort of an eco round for them, so this should be an automatic 4th. But you never really know. God Particles with their slow approach can bring out Orgless 5, and they might give away their kills.
There's one thing that God Particles always do, regardless of what the round looks like or what weapons they have. They send Nitrider into A sewers and have him try to get as deep as possible. And even if God Particles have no intention of hitting the A site, they will still make him do that. And look at this disgusting shot. God Vexy would have never expected to get shottied in heaven in a million years. He would have never seen that coming. But there is a Rolling Thunder available. A retake is possible. And what's even funnier is that 2 of the members of the attacking team are not present over here. You can see that the attacking Sova in the form of Shivi has his Hunter's Fury, and he's towards A long. So the moment the diffuse comes through, he's gonna start using that. Oh no, wait, he doesn't even wait for the diffuse. He's just trying to go for it right now. Sai and Blackhawk making things work. Shivi does get a kill with the Hunter's Fury, but at what cost? If he would have saved it for later on, he still would have died because his teammate fell like flies. And he used it hoping to cause a little bit of distraction because, you know, it does become a little tedious to dodge the Hunter's Fury and keep on fighting at the same time. But
Yeah.
Team God Particles, they were completely rolled. Orgless make it look so simple.
They were completely rolled by a rolling thunder. I mean, why did they fall like pieces and bits over there? It was because the rolling thunder and the flash just forced them into that corner, side dropping in. He was completely unaffected, right? He knew that they would be in that corner, and that was a collateral kill. Blackhawk was also there to kind of add on to that same pressure as well. So that all in all, the entire defense onto that side in that post plant just crumbled like house of cards. God Vexy once again all by himself holding this A side down, and I can see his steam engine coming his way. This is going to be very difficult, but God Vexy has dealt with it before. You remember that round in Ascent where he just stuck himself in boathouse? He cleared all of them, but this time Skargod will actually clean him up. This is the side that has been given out, and they don't really have all that retake abilities. They have the Cypher ultimate, the neural theft, which can give some sort of information, but the reverse, the other Cypher from a parallel universe has actually used his own neural theft. What is going to happen right now?
I mean, the round was confirmed the moment the Seekers were popped, because that Seeker revealed only one player towards the A side, and that was God Vexy. The other two Seekers went in the other direction towards the attacking spawn, which told God Particles that there's only one player defending this site, and they will obviously overwhelm him. I don't think this retake is possible anymore, so this round is basically done and dusted, but yeah, that Seeker, that was what confirmed the victory for them. It told them that Vexy is the only player on the side, and he too was brutally murdered before he had a chance to fall back and regroup with his team. I mean, if he was able to get away from it and then maybe retain the man advantage while giving up the A side, they would have had something going into this round. But hey, not all is lost. Sai and Vexy, both of them are just 1-1 points away from their ultimates.
Exactly. And definitely Vexy as well as I, both of them need the ultimates to actually make it work. Their retake situation didn't really look all that good, especially when they didn't really have the Hunter's Fury. Remember one round which they won was courtesy to a Hunter's Fury and a lot of breach utility. So they do need that utility to actually work in from them. Otherwise, they look a little lackluster.
This defense looks a little lackluster. Once again, Wimp not allowed to fall back. This happened with Vexy in the last round. Now it happens with Wimp. There's only one player defending the side, and they cannot fall back to save their life. Hacker tried to go for a gun switch at the worst time possible. Gets a full bait and switch instead. Now that it's a 4v3, they're using the Hunter's Fury to go through. Blackhawk tanks a little bit of damage, but at least what this Hunter's Fury has done is force all the attackers down the C-long corridor. Unfortunately, that doesn't do anything to help the cause of Orgless 5 because Sai has been taken down towards mid-window. If he was alive over there, he could have potentially come in from behind, maybe crunched them from both sides, but now it's not possible.
Exactly. As soon as the lurker was gone, this retake was basically falling apart. God Vexy is just going to save his weapon, and that is definitely the right decision at this point. But the way God Particles have been pushing up and exploiting the chunks in the armor is brilliant. One time they're going the A side where it's only been guarded by one player, and that is God Vexy. He's been completely overwhelmed. Sometimes they're actually pushing up towards C. Now this is very surprising, Chris, because we thought that God Particles would play very slow, try to burn out Team Orgless 5, try to actually bait them to go aggressive in search of real estate and information and then get kills. But that is not what is happening so far. Like, they're mixing it up well with their fast-paced aggression. They're also sometimes going slow into trying to bait out Orgless 5 players. So they're in two worlds, and they're perfecting the art of mixing it well.
Mix and match, baby. Mix and match. That's the name of the game for now. God Particles keeping it fresh. This time they're hitting the C site, and there's no defenders over here. I mean, why not? Because Orgless 5 don't have any weapons to fight. It's an eco round, so they might as well go push B. And they did that. They pushed mid. A couple of players even pushed down the A region. Spot out no one, so it's a 5v5 retake. And of course they're gonna go for it. There's no point saving now. Cosmic Divide might just allow these players of Orgless 5 to move a little closer to the side, attack from the Logs region as well. But that's not the problem that they need to deal with. The bigger problem over here is how is the Breach Flash going to help Sai set up? Because you can't flash through the Cosmic Divide accurately. And you obviously can't push through blind either.
Player standing.
You have no information to work off of. Blackhawk in the 1v2 has no stars, otherwise he could have at least smoked and tried to defuse and stick. But nah, Shivy has the easiest 1v1 of his life. And I can understand that, you know, August were never supposed to win this round in the first place. He was in Nico, but still, they got 4 kills. I think that's impressive given the amount of resources they had. That Cosmic Divide was a bit questionable because it does allow them a little bit of space to move towards Logs, although there is a small chance that their shoulder gets spotted and then they get shot or something like that. But the bigger problem was that now this breach cannot flash through the Cosmic Divide because the breach flash works against a wall. And you can't aim the flash at the Cosmic Divide, you can only aim it at a concrete wall, which will be blocked by the Cosmic Divide. So that's why it wasn't possible. Up close, Sai with an amazing shot, even Blackhawk with the stellar defense. Finally, Knight Rider will deal with the opposing jet, but can he deal with Hacker? No, he cannot.
One enemy remaining.
Amazing stuff. Wimp around the corner, he knows it. But the spike is back all the way down in A lobby. He needs to go retrieve it. But he won't even be given the chance to. He's running out of bullets, running out of knives. At least he doesn't run out of life points. So he has the time to go anywhere he wants. And the best part is the neural theft is not available for Wimp. He just used it in the last round. Or the round before that. Either way, if Wimp had his neural theft now, then Knight Rider would have been in a very, very tricky situation.
Knight Rider probably is still. He is finding his way back in the A side, which should be a Giga Brain move, but I guess Wim has an idea, so he's not leaving the A side completely open yet. Checking on the corners, being very, very cautious. This round was so dicey that it kind of finished off the entire teams got bloody in a matter of like seconds. There was so much time for Wimp. Missed a couple of shots, initial shots, but Knight Rider is once again in position. Wimp needs to swing wide if he wants to win this duel. Just waiting for Knight Rider to make the first move or make the first error, but no, he's not gonna make any errors. He's gonna put the brain, or rather bullet in the brain. Sorry for that, ladies and gentlemen. But 7-4 is the scoreline.
What can I say, man? Whenever these guys go for a default spread, it works for them. If they try to brute force their way into the A side, it still works for them. And I did not think they would be able to pull it off because the way God Vexy and Sai were defending the A side, I thought they'd be able to close the walls on this region, completely shutting them down. But no, somehow Knight Rider finds the will and a way to make that clutch work. And once again, they're going to focus on a shot, sending Knight Rider down. The hero of the team now ascending from the sewers. A Cosmic Divide has been put up just to delay the push. But at least they give away the information that God Particles are indeed present towards A. Look at the backstab coming in from Orgless 5. I mean, they can't bypass the tripwire, but what they can do is at least put down some gravity wells and keep delaying the side of God Particles. If they just get trapped over here, they can neither go into the A side nor they can get out. This Hunter's Fury might just change things. It clears out the common positions that the defenders are hiding inside, but Whitehorse is already prepared for the anti-backstab, holding them. And now it's a 4v2. Shivy tries to capitalize on the timing window, but Sai is just a bit too accurate on that Guardian. Can he double up? Switches the gun at the right time. Cloudburst and dash to the other side. And the spray doesn't come through. Oh, what a tricky round, but God Particles pulled it off.
Switching sides.
This was a sweaty round, but at least at the end of it, God Particles, they're at 8-4. They've got a very, very good start to this game so far. We kind of expected this, that God Particles would have the edge, and they certainly have an edge, especially in the way they're executing, especially in the way they're making Orgless 5 wait, and sometimes they're overwhelming them with their pace. But the tides have turned, and this is their time to defend it. Can Orgless 5 be as unorthodox as possible? That has been the name of the game for them before, when they were Team EXO, and they can actually make it work if they can properly play their cards. I feel like they will make a comeback, but for them, But for that to happen, they need to win this first pistol round and the round after that to make things a little more even. 3 seconds before we kick things off once again. Sai will obviously go for a fast-paced push. The shock dart comes in and he dodges that to perfection. The gravity well prevents players from Team God Particles push any further. They don't get really control of that A corridor, but Nitride slaps Blackhawk down. No controller action and for you anymore. Shock darts come into play, recon darts as well. You can see that there's so much information exchange here, but also a lot of bullet exchange. And all these players, they're really adamant to actually take these duels for themselves. They don't really want to fall back or want to stall the fight.
That fault line completely wasted. No aftershocks available to follow up and instantly kill them. Sai getting revealed. He's going to get pre-fired through the boxes, and that's going to be the end of his life. They now have a backup plan that is to go towards the C site, but there's obviously nothing to stop them over here except for a nebula. Team God Particles, they are giving up the C site and most likely will play for the retake, but they've got the numbers advantage, so they don't mind this.
They found my wire.
Wim once again taking early contact. White Horse will take him down. It's a lot of duels that are happening here, and the Godvex is still trying to delay the retake that is coming, but I don't think he will be able to because he's been completely dazed. He is Logista right behind him, who's going to put a bullet in his brain, of course, and this was important. God Particles did not allow Orgless 5 a chance in this round so far, making it 9th, potentially making it 10th as well, and this was really good. Like, trust me, I love the way Team God Particles just stalled that push, right? Just waited for their moment to go for a retake, and as soon as the team Orgless 5 reconsidered their options of going towards the A side and tried to go to the C side, that was the moment where Team God Particles went for a snap, and they did snap the neck.
It was almost like a Thanos snap, dude. Half the server died in an instant.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, at least now we know that God Particles have the momentum to maybe even secure double digits. That's what they needed. If somehow Orgless 5 was able to win the pistol, then all the hard work of God Particles would have gone down the drain. I mean, it is still possible that Orgless 5 pulled this round off. Their sheriffs can still sing. But so far, their tunes have been a little off. Even Wimp is not having the best of days. He's currently at the bottom of the scoreboard, but the moment I say that, he puts Scargod down at the bottom of the floor.
Yeah. The trades come through as well. 3v4 so far. Whitehorse wants to be a smoke criminal. Can he actually move out of the smoke? Look at the smoke action happening. Cypher is going absolutely ballsy. Logista, Shivy, and all these players, they come in and finish off the round once again. Just didn't really see what happened over there. It was all smokes, cyber cages, nebulas, left and right. All these players trying to peek out of it, trying to be cheeky, but it was like, all right, you want to be cheeky, I want to be cheeky too, and then both of them collide inside a cyber cage, and it was like very weird and awkward. But well, an encounter is an encounter, I guess.
It could have actually been the round for Orgless 5 if Sai was on time. I mean, he had a decent position. He was trying to maneuver from the CT side, and it didn't happen. Vexy and Shivy, these guys just completely destroyed him, flicked to him. This time Sai once again making things work, getting the opening frag. Of course, these guys have the superior weaponry, so Orgless 5 don't need to worry. But when Shivy swings like that, oof, you need to be worried all the time.
Oh, no.
White Horse getting caught. He was looking towards Wimp's direction all the time, but the moment he peeks away is when Wimp strikes, and he strikes twice.
Just trying to be a little more aggressive, overextending a little bit, but Knight Rider is on the backstab. He might actually find Blackhawk completely napping.
Oh,
His
what
influence
are you
would be the
looking
key.
at?
The cam! The cam!
That's the
was
worst
so
time to
bad.
look away, I swear. I mean, I don't think that Wimp is even aware of what just happened. He was just casually scanning with the camera, but he had no idea that activating the cam at that moment would result in such a massive free kill. He must have been amused
Dude,
by that.
Trust me. I mean, the guy was so paranoid about it, he just swings back and then suddenly there's someone right behind him and shooting him in the head. That was so weird for him. But Shivy, I mean, he's happy to give away this round. I feel like Vandal, saving a Vandal would be a much wiser option, and he does that. They still have a lot of cushion to actually make a comeback. But I mean, look at this, 5 to 10. There is still 5 more rounds, a buffer of which God Particles will exploit. But I'm pretty sure they want to close it out as quickly as possible. For that, they just need to wait and let Orgless 5 do their thing. Maybe understand what their pattern of attack is, and then readjust accordingly.
Well, so far the pattern of attack for Orgless 5 was distract and destroy. Take a look at this. Wimp has 6 frags right now. He got 3 of them in the previous round, which means up until the 15 rounds that we have seen so far, Wimp only got 3 frags. And now he gets 3, all of them while the other players are distracted. He's able to catch the Astra first, looking in the wrong direction. Someone else peeks out of his cyber cage and Garaji kills him, and then the camera play. This time though, there is Knight Rider to deal with Sai towards the B region. Now, Sai's responsibility was to move towards the B entrance and catch any of the defenders rotating from one side to the other. He was the one responsible for gathering information about the movement of the defenders, but now he can no longer do that. So the only option that the attackers have is to group up and hit one of these sites with all that they've got and pray to God that it works.
Absolutely. But God Particles, they are not reconsidering. Instead, they're just reinforcing their defenses and holding their horses before Team Orgless 5 can actually launch an attack. Look at this. You have the Cypher who is moving up deep towards the A territory and finding it completely open. He will relay that information back to Hacker and others who are eventually moving up towards the A site. Will the spike go down? That is a question, because I can see that the Sova from Chevy is just waiting for the opportunity to strike. And I believe he's going to strike them when they're the most vulnerable. Wimp finds Knight Rider. That is the operator down. The spike will go down. Here comes a shock dart. Hacker takes a little damage, but I think he can tank that. 4v4, and there's not a lot of time.
Oh no. If he gets revealed over here, he can get shot down through the wood. Somehow Hacker is alive, and not for any longer. A Shiv drops down, dropping the bombs on this man. 2 versus 3. Vitor swings like an absolute madman. Vexy in a nearly impossible situation. The spike is planted for him. He has a lineup for the shock dart available, but how can he pull it off when there's 3 people staring him in the face? That's just simply not possible. Man had too much on his shoulders, and now he doesn't even have a head on top of it.
I love the fact that Chevy kind of left the site open, but he left the site open as much as it was required, right? He was in position. As soon as the players were supposed to come in, he had enough utility to deny the plant, to stall the plant as long as possible, and also get people on and for himself. Like, he got a lot of kills in that from that round itself. I guess he had like 2 or 3 kills from that round, and it was perfectly timed. He was just outside the site waiting for getting any sort of sound cues, and as soon as he heard sound cues, he struck. The timing was perfect.
Yeah, and the timing of killing the breach was even better, because if not, then he would have used the Rolling Thunder and then the round could have gone haywire. Yeah. Scar got in a one and done position. That's interesting. I've not seen him play that position before. In fact, he's not even peeking out of it. If he sees no presence towards the B side, he might consider going in from garage and coming in for a backstab. But Wimp is too busy focusing on killing the guys who are dislodged from their feet with that Rolling Thunder. Instant double kill for him, but now Scargod comes through, killing the players in garage, disrupting this attack from the side of Orgless 5. While Orgless still have the man advantage, their breach is 1 foot in the grave already. So this is negligible amount of advantage, and Chevy nullifies the situation. Scargod and Logistar driving the point home, down to a 1v1, but Wimp knows where his nemesis is. The recon dart revealed, he readjusts! What a time for Wimp to come back to life, and he hits double digits for his individual score, keeping the team alive in this game for just that longer.
Trust me, I did not expect Wimp to destroy that recon dart and then readjust back onto the head of his opponent to get that. Like, it was sort of like a mirror image of each other. The Sova tried to reveal his opponent, and the Cypher used his ultimate to reveal his opponent as well. Both of them had an information of where their opposition were, where their nemesis were, but even then, they just couldn't really, like, at least the Sova couldn't really capture that situation. Cypher did perfectly fine. Scargard once again trying to flash, trying to peek out. Cheeky peeks don't really help him. But so far, again, just suffering because, like, he wants to get information, it's understandable, but then trying to peek out risky, that's just hurting them as much.
Had taken off, but so is the head. Now, what do they do with that information? It's a bit unorthodox that they're in the site already, but they can't go for the plant just yet because the Hunter's Fury might deny it. They still stick it. The Hunter's Fury was focused towards the back of site, giving them just that much little time to adjust. Got
One enemy
Bexy
remaining.
and Logista. What on earth is this man up to? Gets so many frag and it's just down to Sai. He must step up right now. He's got the Blade Storm, but his position's been revealed and he's so afraid to peek. In fact, Shivi doesn't even need to entertain him. He just needs to keep Sai at bay by making him uncomfortable, and he will never be able to peek like that. The plot was never even there for him.
This is painful to watch right now because
I
Team
know,
Orgless
right?
5 are being played around, right? Like, look at this. Chevy knows exactly that he's in a position to win. That is a position to win. Why not just try and pull Sai's leg a little bit? Peeks out randomly, tries to make fun of him, and he properly does. 6-12 the score line. It looks like Orgless 5. It doesn't really seem like they're gonna win this best of 3 series, do they? I mean, they need 6 back-to-back rounds and then 2 more to actually win this so far. It does.
And they don't even have
It's
money.
gonna be possible. They don't even have money. Like, it's very sad when you see like almost a finishing round ending up with a eco round for them. Knight Rider brings one back. That was a good trade that happened. I love the utility usage coming in from Orgless 5, but that's all that they had. The jet knives was their last hope, and even that has been taken away from them.
Yeah, even Wimp will be taken away soon. He was the one with the Spectre. One of the bigger guns that these guys had. But Blackhawk with the Phantom still keeping hopes alive. Will he check the angle? No! He runs straight into Whitehorse head first. Hacker comes in over here. He can go for the blood, but the... Okay, the aftershock missed. It's not a big deal, not a big deal. These guys don't have to worry about getting timings. Still, the fault line as a little delaying measure. But do they know that there's a Sky on C long? They're probably not aware about this one. And they're not even prepared for Knight Rider. Vexy, in a nearly impossible 1v3, has to channel his inner god. Maybe even turn into a demon to make the clutch possible. But there's a burn in his face, and Knight Rider wins the race. That is it, ladies and gentlemen. God Particles, they beat Team Orgless 5.
Was that important?
It was a long game. Lots of ups and downs,
Yeah,
but in
absolutely.
the end, they prevailed.
Yeah, true that. I mean, I loved what Orgless 5 could actually put up in this best of 3 series, the way they came into the tournament with transfers and coming in with managers, but the way they survived, the way they dominated the first map, it was good to watch. The second map was sort of competitive, and the third map, God Particle just ran away with it.
Yeah, they completely ran away with it, especially in that second half when they were making Team God Particle, when they were making Team Orgless 5 so damn uncomfortable. Like, whatever they were trying, it felt like it was orchestrated. We'll take a look at the highlights so that you get a better visual representation of what's going on. But towards the end of that game, I kind of felt like God Particles was very comfortable giving up that map control to Orgless 5 because they know they have workarounds. And
Yeah.
Orgless 5 in post-plant situations was just completely out of their depth. They had absolutely no way to hold on to the site that they had just captured, no way to defend the spike that they had just planted. Sometimes the spike was planted in a position from where it cannot even be defended.
Yeah, exactly. And that kind of comes with experience, right? When your teammate knows exactly where they plant so that you can actually go and prevent it from being defused. And since Orgless 5, just like I mentioned, is sort of a team where they're not in a position where they're one of the most experienced team in the country, it is going to be always a problem. But Sai in this round was just so good to watch. He landed the sweet headshots. I would have loved if it was an ace, but then God Vexy snatched away from him. God Vexy got a few clutches for himself, but it was more so the other initiative from the other team. That was Chevy, who actually got more highlight reels from this game.
Yeah, I mean, Sai did really well for his team. He was the one top fracking for Team Orgless 5. In fact, if you take a look at the ACS, Sai has the highest ACS, followed by all 5 members of God Particles. And then every other member of Orgless 5 has less ACS than every other member of God Particles. So that's there. Towards the first half, I really thought Orgless 5 was keeping it competitive because they were adjusting to God Particles' rushes so well. In fact, there were rounds where they pushed God Particles back after getting information on the spike, and then it just became so much easier for Orgless 5 to adjust their setups. And they were very dynamic with their setups too. Like Sai was opping in different places all the time, sometimes on C long, sometimes on A long. And if Orgless 5 were ever in an eco situation, they pushed out mid and tried to come in from backstabs very quickly. So all those adjustments in the first half of the game was impressive by Orgless 5. But towards the later segments of this match, it seemed like God Particles was forcing errors out of Orgless 5. And
Yeah.
sometimes Hacker made unforced errors, which made things even more difficult for Orgless 5. Don't really blame him, because in the heat of the moment, when there is when there are people behind you and you can't plant in a regular position, you have to plant in unorthodox spots, which does make it a bit hard to defend. But all of that needs to be
Mm.
communicated with the team, and I felt like that was missing for the side of Orgless 5 a bit. I don't really blame them, though. This is their first official match after the new lineup change, so there were bound to
Yeah.
be hiccups. But still, even with this new lineup, if they're able to give an old and established team like God Particles a run for their money, I think this lineup has a bright future.
Exactly. And also another very good point, which I guess we'll come back to after talking about the scoreboard, which of course which you can see is 30-6. We all saw the scores. Victory was won by God Particles. You know it, right? Scar got on the MVP standings. 18 kills for this man, 255 ACS, 59 economy rating. Now, the thing about Scargod was that he was constantly flashing and constantly creating problems. He was probably the initiator out of 4 initiators that were in the game who was causing the most amount of trouble. The
Hmm.
Seekers, the amount of bites which he actually induced on Wim was insane. That man
Yeah.
was being stunned by the Tiger like almost every single time. I don't even know how many Tiger bites you can survive, but I don't think he can survive one. And every single time he was being bitten, yeah, there were consequences. Of course, Knight Rider was one of the key players for God Particles, but then I feel like he was well trade off by Sai. There was this constant battle going on between Knight Rider and Sai, which Sai did win a couple of times, Knight Rider won a couple of times. But overall, if you look at a team effort, God Particles were just so much better. Now, one thing which I really wanted to point out, Crips, was that Orgless 5 were always in a hurry of planting the spike, right? They
Yeah.
did not really clear a lot of sites before planting the spike, for which they had to face a lot of consequences, just like you
But I
mentioned,
can
right?
say the
There
same for
were
God
unforced
Particles
errors.
as well. That same problem, I can say the same for God Particles as well. They were all in a hurry to plant the spike, but then the post plant positions for God Particles were just so much better than Orgless 5.
Exactly. Exactly, right? They were in post-plant positions and they knew their post-plant positions. I feel like Orgless 5, they're still in a phase where they have to understand each other and how they fit against the opposition. For God Particles, they've been playing for so long. They understand where they have to put themselves, even without proper communication. I feel like
Yeah.
that line of communication is always there. For Orgless 5, yeah, it's still a little bit dicey.
Yeah, but that's completely fine, dude. I mean, considering that this is the first official match that they are playing with this new
Exactly, right?
lineup,
That's the point.
they're able to win a map and then give God Particles a run for their money in one of their home turf maps. I think that's pretty impressive. And this is just the start of Gauntlet. I mean, August 5 can afford to tank this loss. There's still so many more games left for them in their groups. And speaking of the groups, we'll take a look at how this match affects the overall standings.
Yep. And we're going to find out pretty soon that God Parties, they extend their lead at the top with 2 more points of victory. Of course, Orgless 5, they're going to get 1 point because they snapped one map off of God Particles. But this is a good start, just like you mentioned, a new lineup, a new team, 1 point from your first game. It's decent. For God Particles, they really wanted this victory because, to be honest, according to me, last season wasn't that impressive from this lineup because Force 1, they were a much, much stronger outfit and their performances were there. God Particles, their first season was sort of I don't know, not that impressive, but this victory kind of establishes the position where God Particles are at now. They know how to close down games. Even if they win the first map of the series, they can eventually win the next 2 to actually get the best of 3 series for themselves. So their endurance and their collective efforts have actually come together to give them these initial results. And I just hope that God Particles can extend this even further.
Yeah, let's hope that God Particles can extend their lead even further and stay on top of that group standings. But, ladies and gentlemen, we're not done for the day. While the match may be over, we have another very interesting game coming up for you guys at 8 p.m. So make sure that you subscribe to this channel and hit the notification icon so that you never miss when we go live. Hit that bell icon and make sure that you mark your calendars for 8 p.m. It's going to be Salt Esports versus Flame On, and it's going to be yet another spicy best of three, with, of course, a little bit of salt on top of it. And Salty will be casting
And
it. So,
Flame.
Jesus, that's a lot of diabetic action.
And
over there.
Flame.
And Flame, yeah. So, you can literally have a nice meal together. You put the salt on top of the meat, put it on the flame, grill it. Too much salt, no? I mean, you're going to be
Yeah,
casting that, aren't
too
you?
much salt. Yeah,
Ah,
I
well.
will be, ladies and gentlemen. See
Some
you
jokes
soon.
some jokes just write themselves now, don't they?
I mean,
Either
if
way.
it's Salt Esports and I'm not casting, that doesn't really happen. But yeah, Crips, I'm gonna let you take the outro because this has been a very long first game for us.
Yeah, a rather long first game, but I love the performance from Orgless 5. Good start for them. Not a great start. Things could have been better, but it's not all lost. They still have a long way to go in the tournament. So, ladies and gentlemen, with that, we're gonna say goodbye to you. We are going for now, but we'll be back at 8 p.m. So don't go. I mean, go somewhere. Yeah, of course, go get your snacks, but make sure that you hit the bell icon and come back at 8 p.m. We'll see you on the other side.
You